What's going on, everybody? The Antiguan Princess Fiona, Mahogany Finn, Clutch God. What's going on? Tashana. What's going on, Asha? I said I just had to do a live stream today because it was like so many topics that came out that I didn't want to put all of them into a video format, and I wanted to discuss them with y'all in real time. And I might even open up the chat so some of y'all can actually join in. Last time, some of y'all wanted to act like y'all was scared and shy and not want to jump in on the conversation. And I think True Royal Family and Cat were the only two that actually joined in. And the rest of y'all was just like y'all just listening and left comments. As I said, it's so crazy. Y'all have a lot to say in the comment section, but when I give y'all the mic to actually speak, you get real quiet. Tashana, who are you talking about? If I'm glad you asked that. I should have did that when I first started this live channel. If you would like to be a mod, let me know. But until just because you asked that question, I'm gonna automatically make you a mod. I just made you a mod, Tashana. What's going on, Ashton? Oh, Austral Great. Oh, trust and believe. I do plan on going in, as I usually do. I don't hold any punches. I think you can, Bantugan. I think you can, if you long press it. I'm not sure how it works exactly on the phone. I think if you long press it, you can still do it the same way. Ain't doing it. Ain't doing this. What video did you send me? I tell you, I get a lot of emails. Like if y'all can see how flooded my emails get daily. Like let's put it this way. If I was to delete every single inbox message that I get because I wanted to make room, in 2 days, they will pretty much restore themselves and I would probably get 100 more. That's how many emails I get per day. And it shocks me that I get so many stories. That's another reason I like doing the podcast and the live stream, because I know if I can't cover them in a pre-recorded setting, then I can just scroll through my emails and maybe just pick out certain stories and just talk about them. But what video? I mean, what topic? Like, what story was it that you sent me? When did you send me that? What's going on, Takia? Oh wow. Phew. Yeah, I might have to search that one because I'm that might have been one of the ones that got mixed up in the ones that I deleted to make room. Oh, you know what? I think I know which one you're talking about. That one happened last year. I think I know because when I typed it in, that video actually appeared. Did that happened back in January last year? I think I actually covered that on my original channel. I think I know which one you're talking about now because I'm looking at the screenshot from a video that I guess was posted on YouTube. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I talked about that on my original channel before that one unfortunately got taken away from me. Yeah, Tashana, he's talking about it was an interracial couple and they were at a restaurant and it was a black man who had confronted them about them being, you know, in a interracial relationship in a black owned restaurant. You know, something that is typical of what a lot of white men do a lot. But of course, that black man was the one who caught most of the heat. Yes, Bantweegan mystery. Yeah, it was that one. When I saw the picture and saw the like the screenshot, I was like, yeah, I'm familiar with that story. Yeah, that happened in like I said in the January of last year. I thought it was more recent, like something that happened within the last month. I wish there was a way you could pin comments in the chat like you do on the actual comment section in regular video so I could pin this somewhere on here, but I don't think I can. But I left the link down in the chat in case anybody wants to chime in any of the stories that I do talk about. And like I said, I have a few of them right there that I'm gonna talk about that I already did, but then I said and more because there's some other things going on too. Princess Fiona said, "How's the gym going?" Oh, it's going great. It's going excellent. I have no complaints. I actually went there today, and I worked on it was chest workouts, shoulder workouts, and arm workouts today, and a little bit of hit cardio and hit training, I should say, as well. So it's safe to say that I was tired by the time I was done, but none more than when I do leg exercises. That's the workouts that completely drain me. Marcel, I haven't heard anything about Dylan Roof in quite some time now since he got sentenced. But before I get to the other topics, did y'all hear that Meek Mill got released from prison today? I actually found that out maybe a good 30 minutes before I decided to start this live stream up. To be honest, I don't even see why he was in jail. So he was in there for 5 months, but he got released from jail today. And as a matter of fact, I think one of the first things he did was he just started tweeting, thanking everybody for their support and everything like that. I truly believe that judge had an axe to grind with him. You can look at her and tell she just didn't like him. He was in jail for something that I don't even truly believe he should have been in jail for. But they want to try to give bail to that terrorist at the Waffle House, and I'm gonna touch on that one too. But yep, he is out of jail. Good for him. That's all I can say. But now let me get into these topics that I have listed before you. Of course, the first one is the obvious one with the Waffle House situation. I'm going to talk about both of them because there's more than one. Of course, excuse me. The first one being the Waffle House in Nashville. It is very sad and unfortunate what happened to those 4 individuals that got killed at that Waffle House. And the thing is, all of them were young. All of the people who got killed were in their 20s. The oldest was 29 and the youngest was 20. I think the ages was 29, 21, 24, and I forgot how old the other one was. I want to say 27. So they all were pretty much born in the late 80s and late 90s. But also, like I said again, shout out to James Shaw Jr. for being a hero. I know he says he doesn't like to have that label put on him because he doesn't see himself as much. And this guy's even so modest that that he's actually collecting donations to give to the victims' families. What's going on, the Shadow Assassin? He's actually collecting donations to give to the victims' families. It's almost like he doesn't want to accept any donations, even though people are going to send him donations regardless whether he wants it or not. What's up, Shelly? Now, as for the terrorist himself, that bit of news that came out after he did it. But first, let's start, like I said at the beginning. But I did not know that he went to the White House last year with guns. Who knows what he planned on doing with those guns, but they managed to catch him. He goes to court. The court tells him to take his guns away. The dad says, I'll take them and keep them for safekeeping. As you can see, that didn't last very long because his dad turned right around and gave his son back his guns. And I believe one of those guns was used in the shooting because it was an AR. It was an assault rifle. So I truly believe that his dad needs to be brought up on charges as well for aiding and abetting with this, because this could have been avoided. And they're going to use this whole semi-new thing to, bump up the whole, oh, he was mentally ill and mentally disturbed angle. I already peeped that from jump. Because I already was reading the comments on Twitter. They said, well, he went in there and he didn't have many clothes on. At that point, anybody should be deemed mentally ill. I said, okay. Well, he wasn't semi-nude when he went to the White House last year. So what you going to call that? I swear they come up with an excuse every single time. Their version of, I'll put it this way, their version of being on code is making an excuse. I think that's what we should just call it now. Them being on code is them just making an excuse, especially when it comes to situations such as these. Now, it was also went out today that they were going to give this guy bail. They were going to give him a bail. It was a high bail, but they were going to give him bail. But because of the backlash from us, more importantly, they snatched that bail right off the table. So now he's just sitting in jail and he has no bail, which is a good thing, because then it's no possible way that they'll release him. He said TMZ Waffle House has agreed to pay for the funeral. That's the least that they could do. I mean, it's not their fault because it's because, you know, how would they have known someone was going to go up there and do that? But, you know, that's good. That's good on their part. Thank you, Princess. I knew it was a high bill, but I wasn't sure of the exact amount. She said it was $2 million, but they took it back and said that, you know, we're not going to give him a bail because they heard us saying, y'all better take that bail away after what that guy did. But yeah, they need, like I said, they need to also bring his father into the equation because his dad definitely gave him his guns back when he should not have. He basically disobeyed the court's orders. And to be honest, I didn't think they was going to catch him that fast. Like, how many of y'all thought they was going to catch him in the same week? I thought they were going to drag this out, and they would probably, even today, would still been trying to look for him. I was shocked they actually caught him. What was it? Within the next 2 days. I thought it was going to be longer than that. But again, condolences to the family. Shout out to James Shaw Jr. for being a hero. The dad and that Travis character both, well, his dad needs to be locked up. His son needs to stay locked up. And maybe they can both share a cell together, you know, like a father-son deal. Exactly, Bantigua. Definitely, like I said, that's definitely aiding and abetting in a crime because it led to 4 murders, almost 6 murders because two young ladies, they ended up they had injuries, but they didn't die. They're recovering right now. So it was almost 6 murders. What's up, Dallas Fort Worth? Exactly, Marcel. They did catch him faster than the Austin bomber. With the Austin bomber, it took them what, almost a month to catch him, like 2 weeks. Jamal Talbot, I'm glad you mentioned that. Did y'all notice that when y'all looked at the image of Travis Ryan King when he was sitting in the cop car, how he looked? Didn't he look just like Dylan Roof when he was sitting in the cop car, or when they was holding, like when they was carrying him out? They looked almost exactly the same, from the facial expressions all the way to how they were being held. It looked almost exactly the same. And the thing is, it almost had the same notion, except Dylan Roof went inside of a church and killed 9 black people. He went into a Waffle House and killed 3 black people and 1 Hispanic guy. It was almost like looking at a mirror, like almost like a direct mirror image. I mean, this guy was on Secret Service's radar. That's huge. It's not like a local department was searching for him. He was on Secret Service's radar all the way in DC. What's up, Tachi D? Better late than never. You're here now. Exactly. He didn't have the bowl cut. That's the only thing. Or as I like to call it, the what do I call it? I think I called it the Macaulay Culkin cut. Exactly, Dallas. I bet that man had a long rap sheet way before this happened. Usually that's how it is. Now I want to transition away from what happened in Nashville and talk about what happened in Alabama. Its next door neighbor, where we had another incident at another Waffle House, where you had this young black woman by, hold on, let me see if I can remember. Her last name was Clemens. I do know that. Let me see. Her name is Shakisha or Shakisha. I think it's Shakisha. Hopefully I'm getting her name right. Clemens. She was the she's the black woman at the Waffle House in Saraland, Alabama, where she was pretty much manhandled by these two cops in the Waffle House. I said it was two things about that that made me upset. One, the fact that when they were wrestling her to the ground, they were pulling down her dress. Like she was pretty much almost butt naked in front of everybody who was in there. They didn't, when they were doing it, they were pulling down her dress. And when women wearing a dress, sometimes they're not going to wear maybe a bra or panties underneath it, especially if it's hot. So she pretty much, her whole chest was exposed. Two, the people that was there, they just sat around and looked at it like it was nothing. Nobody intervened. You would have thought that this was normal behavior, the way that their lack of a reaction. And what's even crazier is that the police department there actually defended their officers' actions against her. They said that they felt that what they did and how they handled her was no wrongdoing on their part based on their words. Those are their words. They said that they were completely justified to do what they did. Now, had the roles been reversed and this was a black cop or black cops and a white woman, y'all already know how this would have went down. It would have been a whole nother tune. Look at what happened with Muhammad Noor and Justine chick last year. And how them people got outraged when this Somali cop did this to this Australian white woman. They were completely and utterly outraged. But notice our reaction was slightly different from theirs. And notice that whenever something happens to them, they act like the whole world has to stop and be outraged right along with them. I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. We're not going to be outraged because you're mad. Because you're not even outraged when we're mad. A lot of them that claim that they are just be pretending. As usual, Dallas Fort Worth, they love to throw stuff like that on us, but I don't believe it. I agree, Pseudo Kid. You said, I believe we need to stop going to these white-owned businesses and like the old Black Panther Party putting in aggressive pressure on the cowards in blue. I will say this, though, and this is something that kind of went into my mind. What I do, however, like about what is going on, now this is the only silver lining here, and I don't know if anyone else caught this but me. One thing I do like about this stuff that's going on is it's exposing their bad business practices as it comes to dealing with Black people. And what is going to end up happening is it's going to shine a light onto them in a negative way, but it is up to us to find an alternative. Notice what happened with the Starbucks situation with those two guys in Philly. What ended up happening, and I don't know if anyone else caught this, that's why I say social media is a powerful thing. It forced other Black people to look for Black alternative businesses to patronize after this incident. Now, one thing I also did say is that it's unfortunate that it took something like this to happen in order for us to want to look for those instead of looking for those the entire time. That way the situation would have never even happened. But at least now it's giving, I guess you could say, how can I put it? I guess you could say it's shedding light in a positive way onto these other businesses that would never get any kind of recognition otherwise. And see, the thing is, that's why we need our own black media so we can advertise our own businesses. You know, like when it comes to like a lot of black owned businesses, when's the last time you've seen a commercial on television advertising a black owned business? Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth, and I'm gonna talk about that. Yeah, Ash, and I'm gonna talk about that too. I didn't really read it too much into that story, but I did see the video. And I said, what happened with Waffle House, the one, not the one in Tennessee with the shooting, the one that happened in in Alabama, they're not going to do any. Well, what they are trying to do, they're going to try to bury this story as much as possible. They're going to try to bury this story underneath the one that happened in Tennessee, so it doesn't turn into another Starbucks situation. They don't want to say, "Oh, we're going to close down all of our Waffle Houses for one day to have another racial bias training." Now, for those of you who don't know what's going on, August, for those of you who don't know, Waffle House is a 24-hour chain. It never closes. Even on holidays, it never closes. The only thing that'll cause a Waffle House to close is if there's a very bad storm and it knocks the power out. That's about it. Waffle House never closes. It works around the clock. The last time I think I was probably in a Waffle House is when I was in college. When we used to go to the club, and when we wanted to, like, when we were hungry and it was late, that's the place we would go to because it was the only place that was open. But that was, I graduated back in 2011, so that's how many years ago it's been. Oh, Dallas Fort Worth, then that was even longer ago than probably when I was in that was probably even longer ago than when I was in college. When you say when you went to prom. And see, Sonia sees exactly there. And the thing is, there's probably a black owned diner somewhere around here, but we have to research it. See, like I said, because they don't have the capital to advertise on television their businesses. But there are, I think Lisa Cabrera recently did a video where she did like a video about black owned businesses. It's to the point where when you are a black owned business, you have to be a part of a network of other black owned entrepreneurs and businesses and advertise that way, because we know these big companies will not advertise for them unless it's on a black owned channel. Like, see, I don't know if y'all remember when Byron Allen had purchased the Weather Channel. We don't know what he's going to do with it, but let's just say, for instance, he completely revamps that channel and makes it a strictly channel that's like Bounce. And for those of you who don't know, Bounce is a black owned channel as well. And they decide, well, if you would like to advertise your business so it can be seen on television, just pay the network a couple of, a few hundred or maybe a few $1,000s, and we'll advertise for you. What also would be dope is if there was a black owned television network that did nothing but advertise black owned businesses, like for 24 hours a day. I don't know if the UPN network was black owned, but I do know that the UPN network had a lot of black shows on it, and a lot of them. I used to stay watching the UPN network back in the day, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, before it merged with WB and became the CW. Okay, I want to touch a little bit on the topic that Dallas Fort Worth had brought up about the two black women that had the cops called on them at the golf course. I saw that video yesterday when I was at work, and I was like, really? And what's so interesting is that I actually posted up a poll on my Twitter account and saying, what is the most boring sport to you? And golf was one of the ones that was in the poll. And I think golf actually won in that poll selection. But basically, you had these two black women. They were golfing on a golf course, apparently at a country club. And they had the cops called on them by these white men because they apparently, allegedly, what they said was they were playing too slowly. Listen, I've never played golf a day in my life, so I wouldn't even have to worry about that because, to be honest, I don't think I ever would. The closest I ever played golf was miniature golf at the little putt place, wherever that was, but that was years ago when I did it. That goes back to, I forgot who said it, probably a few of you in the chat who said it, that just go to or find a black-owned golf course to golf at. If you can even find one, because that just, I'm not going to say it sounds impossible, but it doesn't sound practical either. You said it was the owner, and either the owner and his son that called the police. We have just got to come to the acceptance that they do not want us around them, but they will take the dollars. They will take the dollars because, you know, that green is above all for them. You said UPN was owned by Viacom, who sold it. Okay, well, then that answers that UPN wasn't black owned. It just had a lot of black shows on this network. What's going on, Lisa? Hey, Lisa, if you want to join in on the chat, I will send you the link. Anton Fulton, you said they should have canceled their membership right away. Yeah. That's just like the other story I brought to y'all about the black guy in New Jersey who was at the LA Fitness and they treated him badly up there, trying to say that he didn't have a membership there, even though they pulled it up in the system, and then ended up terminating it right there on the spot. I said they think they slick. It's like they don't want to be around us, but they need us. I said they think they slick. It's like they don't want to be around us, but they need us. I said they think they slick.
Okay, I know.
It's like they don't want to be around us, but they. Did you mute it on your side?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is the first time in a long time since we've been on a live stream together.
I'm telling you.
It's been a long time. Yeah. That's crazy. And I was just talking about your state in Jersey.
You know, New Jersey is one of those really strange states, but it's one of those really densely populated states, but it's not free of racism. There's a lot of racism in New Jersey. A lot. A lot.
I bet a lot of people think that if they go further up north, that the racism will dwindle. I said no. That's where those hidden races are. The overt ones are more in the south, but they're more hidden in the north. But the way things are going right now, they're becoming more overt than the ones in the south. They're trying. It's almost like they're trying to compete on who's more racist.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're just like you said. They're just more covert. Right. But the racism is definitely there. It's always been there. And that's why I had a cousin that wanted to move up to New Jersey. And I told him, I said, look, you ain't going to be any better off up here than you are in the South. And that's for real.
I wanted to catch this comment that Dallas Fort Worth, she said, Tariq said that they have an app and he sees whites calling the cops all the time for no reason at all in blacks. I said, that is true. It was a story that came out because I live near the DC area. And in Georgetown, that's a predominantly white area. They said that there was an app that they created where people can alert the police if they see suspicious activity. I said that was probably the worst app they could have ever created, especially for white folks to download for free, because they said they abused that app so much that the departments had to call the creators of the apps and demand that they remove it from the market because they got so many calls that made no sense. They would call on black people that were just walking down the street.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. And I remember it was a story that came out of New York, and you probably remember where this white gentrifier who moved in the area where it was a lot of black people called the cops on these people making too much noise. Guess what the people were doing?
What?
Having choir rehearsal.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But you know what, Tareen, they have always done this. It's just more out in the open because now we can record the stuff that's going on. But they've always been fixated on calling the cops on black folks. This is really nothing new.
Exactly. I mean, look at what happened with Tamir Rice and John Crawford. Both happened in the same year, pretty much the same situation in the same state.
Right. That's right. Ohio, right?
Yeah, in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
It's just John Crawford he was killed in August. Tamir Rice was killed in November.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I remember that. And yeah, the guy got on the phone and that's another thing. When they get on the phone with 911, they'll say you're doing things that you're not doing. Remember, John Crawford was pointing a gun at people. He wasn't doing nothing like that.
Exactly. And the camera pretty much showed and picked up that he wasn't doing any of the sort. And they didn't even come in and wait to like diffuse any kind of situation that happened. They just went in and was ready and prepared to kill him because all that white guy had to say was black man. Trigger words. That's all they needed to hear. If they said it was a white male, they would have took their time. They would have followed the protocol. They would have tried to diffuse the situation. They would have tried to calm him down. And that's actually what I'm going to talk when we start talking about what happened in Toronto. That actually relates to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy mowed down and killed 10 people.
And injured 15.
Yes.
And they took their time to diffuse the situation and they arrested him.
Yep. I saw that. I saw how the cop arrested him too.
Yeah.
and he took the time to talk to him and everything.
He put them negotiation skills to work. We don't get negotiated with.
No, we get what that police chief said, is better to kill them. Remember?
Yep.
Better to kill the suspect. Sometimes the dumb ones among them will let the cat out the bag.
I mean, he drove and killed 10 people with his van and was driving all up on the curb. And because I had saw the video that True Royal did this morning, I was able to listen to the news clip. And when the guy said that he saw an empty stroller, I said, "Oh, he killed a baby."
Yeah.
So that means with him running over them people, it was probably bodies, parts, and everything underneath his van.
Now I saw RT News, and they showed the people trying to give CPR to the ones that were non-responsive. and you could see some of them were right next to each other bodies. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, I knew I couldn't show that video. I would have been flagged immediately.
That was I don't know, like I don't know if he killed a baby, but when the guy was on the news explaining how there was a stroller and there was no baby in the stroller, I can only assume that he probably did hit a child.
Yeah.
Or ran over one.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he didn't give a damn. He hopped that curb, and one of the guys that was witnessing it said it was a lot of people walking on that sidewalk at that time.
Yeah. And guess what? I found out why he did it. I forgot. I'm trying to. Somebody. I think somebody had told me why he did it. They said because he got turned down from some woman. I said, oh
my God.
The Elliot. I call it the Elliot Rodgers syndrome.
All right. But you know what, Tareen? You know what else I noticed?
What's that?
Most of the people that I saw them giving CPR to, they were white. It looks like he took out a lot of white people.
In that area, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, that it was mostly white people that he hit. And when I heard this story, it reminded me of what happened last year in New York, where you had that guy in New York who drove through them people with that pickup truck.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounded like. I remember that dude too. He was talking about he was suicidal or something. I said, then damn, go kill yourself. Why are you killing everyone?
Right, exactly. If you're suicidal, why are you killing all these people? I'm like, suicidal people usually kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So it didn't make any sense what he was saying.
I tell you, you know, these white males are so fragile whenever their relationships don't work out. Isn't that what that dude did at that pool party? Remember that pool party and he killed all them people? It was some situation with his girlfriend breaking up with him. Remember all those black people that was at the pool party? I think it was like last year.
I think so.
Yeah.
It seems like this is an ongoing thing where it's once per, like at least once per year where something like this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too, but I'm not surprised.
And the thing is,
the funny part is, Tareen, ever since they came out with that BIE, you notice it's been more and more white males doing the most heinous crimes openly.
Yes. And it's so crazy because the guy, when he finally got out of his van and they had him surrounded, he was pointing something at the cops. Now, let's backtrack to a couple weeks ago and go back to New York, where you had this black guy who was mentally ill pointing a shower head at people, and they thought it was a gun. As soon as they rolled up on him, they shot him on sight. But this guy, they negotiated with him. And then they have the nerve to say that it's not a race thing. I said, every time a white person says something like that, literally days or weeks later, something comes up involving a white person that completely contradicts what they said. And they become alt, and then they become quiet, or they try to deflect and run around it and come to a point that is pretty much pointless.
Right. Yeah. You know, and they're still going to ride the mental illness coat. You know?
Man, I don't know how many rides that thing has left. That I feel like the wheels have already come off of that vehicle.
Yeah, me too. You know, and how can they be the only ones up in this bitch with mental illness? Right. That never made
all the stuff they put us through. We should be the ones that need therapy.
Exactly. Shoot. Oh, you're talking about Candace Owens?
Oh God. I'm not even going to do a video on her, but we can talk about it right now. We can talk about her right now, because I'm not even going to do a video on her, but we can talk about it right now.
Yeah.
I can and I can't believe the stuff that comes out of her mouth. It's like she's trying to out-coon Stacey Dash.
Exactly. She won't be around long.
And then you had Kanye West co-signing her.
Well, Kanye,
I'm like,
he has not been black since his mom died.
And what's so crazy is, you know, Kanye West, if you are on Twitter, knows that he does not tweet often. He probably tweets once every few months. And so when he tweets, it becomes a big deal because people like to hear from him. And the first thing that he was starting to tweet about was like, okay, he's about to promote this album or he's about to promote a tour. Then he turns right back around and agrees with Candace Owens.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on. You haven't tweeted in so long. You're trying to bring people back to gravitate towards you. And then you drop the gauntlet and go in a completely different direction. And you say you co-sign what Candace Owens says. And what's so bad is you have the colonizer and the co-colonizers saying that we are the bad ones for saying that he was wrong for agreeing with her or saying that we don't agree with what she said. Do you know that them colonizers love propping people up like that? And they listen.
Yeah, well, you know what? The colonizer was dragging Kanye over that Taylor Swift shit when he went out on his
exactly.
Okay, now they're on his side. Get out of that's so disingenuous.
Exactly. I said all they got to do is bring up Taylor Swift one good time, and they'll put him back in his place.
But I don't know what Kanye did that for, but I was reading that Black Twitter did drag his ass on that.
Yeah. We was like, because this one person I went to college with, she was a huge Kanye West fan. Like every time a hip hop or rap debate came up when I was in college, when she was there, because she graduated before I did, she would always bring up Kanye West, Kanye West, Kanye West. She even has a podcast with her and a few other people, and she always brought up Kanye West. She said when he brought up Candace Owens and how he co-signed her, she said, "Oh, Kanye, you're canceled, and I can't wait to drag." She's like, "I can't wait to drag your ass on my next podcast." And I said, "I can't wait." I said, "I can't wait to hear it." I said, "I can't wait to hear
it." Now that's funny. Yeah, I listened to her speech. I tell you what, when I did my video on her, it took everything I had to get through what she was saying. And talking about police brutality was not the problem. I'm like, bitch, are you crazy?
And that I forgot what she said about racism. I think she was trying to make it seem like we made it all up in our head and that it wasn't real. I said, oh my God.
She scripted, Tareen.
She got that Stepford wife chip in her head.
Yeah, and it's a hustle. You can tell she's doing it, she's doing it as a hustle.
Hold on. Pinky JB, you said, how did I like Taylor Swift's rendition? Well, first off, I didn't like it. And if you go to my main channel, you'll see what I thought of it. And I only listened to 6 seconds of it, and that was enough for me.
I listened to it. I can't deal with her flat ass voice.
It was like she tried to turn a funk song that is a classic. And I mean, that is a classic song. Like when you hear the beat drop on that song, you know what time it is. And she tried to turn it into some kind of hippie, Woodstocky sounding song. I'm like, no. Yeah. She made that song for people like Karen who seasons her potato salads with raisins.
Yeah, but you know what? She didn't even make the shit sound better. She really should have left well enough alone. Earth, Wind, and Fire did not need no help with September.
Right. That was, ugh. And then, did you see the clip? I don't know if you saw a video. I almost did a video on it, but I said, nah, I'm going to leave it alone. Where Britney Spears was on her Snapchat singing Think by Aretha Franklin.
No, I did not see that.
And she added a filter to it so it made her voice sound higher than it already is. Now, if y'all remember, if y'all heard, well, clearly y'all have heard Britney Spears sing before. Yeah. It sounds kind of nasally.
Yes.
Like she has a cold or she always like has year-long allergies. So adding a filter to make her voice even higher than that, it sounded horrible.
I bet it did because she really is not a great singer at all.
She really isn't. And I bet Taylor Swift thought she was doing something. I bet she did. Even white people was looking at her like, nah.
That was not a good redo. I heard I think I sat through like 20 seconds of it, and that was all I could take.
Mm-hmm. Because she also, if you remember, she remade Bobby Brown's song "My Prerogative." You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't like her version of it.
Me neither.
I didn't like it. No, King Mark, Britney never could sing.
She really couldn't. Like, I remember back in the day when I was younger, you know, that was like when the whole pop era was really taking off, especially with a lot of the bands and stuff like that. When she had came out, I said I'll put it this way. Britney Spears had catchy songs, but she could not sing. I was like, okay, I could probably find someone who could sing her song better than her.
Yeah.
Like, she had songs that, let's put it this way. She had songs that were not impossible to sing. Like, anybody could sing her songs and sound better than her.
Yeah, but see, you know, they tried to use her as the answer to Janet Jackson, and I was like, no. I said, you're talking about the Dynasty family.
Right. Come on now.
Jacksons? No.
Because you know they always got to try to find a white equivalent to us.
Right, exactly. But see, you know what, Tareen? That's how you know we're not inferior. You know, because white people will say we're inferior, but their actions towards us say otherwise.
Exactly.
You don't worry about something that is inferior. It's like if I pick up an ant and put it in my car and I start the engine, that ant is inferior. I know right off the bat, it don't have the ability to drive away in my car. But white people treat us like if they put the black person in the car and start the engine, they got to keep turning around and watching. Are they going to, you know what I mean? Because they know you have the ability to turn around and drive that car away. It's not what they say. Just watch their actions. Their actions show you that we're definitely not inferior to them. You would never worry about something that's inferior. And white people worry about black people way too much.
Exactly. And they swear up and down that we worry or think about them when it's definitely not.
We don't have to.
Because, for example, when we do our opioid videos and stuff like that, we speak in a tone of carelessness, not of caring. Caring would incline that we actually give a damn about them, but we don't. I always ended or started off with a, I feel nothing, and I mean just that.
And the thing is, if we were really as inferior as they claim, then why did they have to rig up a whole system against us? That right there is also very telling. So I don't care about what comes out of their mouth because their actions don't match what they're saying.
Hey, Lisa, I wanted to talk about this was so funny to me, but it was so sad. The whole Sean Hannity thing.
I heard about that.
Did you watch Harvey's video about that?
No, I didn't get a chance to
see you gotta watch yours. I actually posted I posted my video up about that before I did this live stream. So basically it all came out that Sean Hannity had 870 properties under the Shell Corporation names through HUD, the Housing of Urban Development. Now, why is a man who makes all this money at Fox News, a millionaire, going through HUD? Isn't it something in writing there that says that he's not allowed to do that?
Right.
But 870
because of his income.
And it's through dummy companies, basically companies that don't exist. And he did it he did it so he could hide his name. And so it wouldn't come out. And I said, oh, well, isn't that interesting? And it's so crazy because CNN, the article that I kind of read from, they titled it, Sean Hannity is a welfare queen. I said, my sentiments exactly. That's exactly what he is. I always said that mostly a lot of white people, especially those who have a lot of money, you'll be surprised how many of them borrow from the government.
Oh, yeah.
When they don't want to spend their money.
Yeah, up here in New York, you know who's the biggest ones on Section 8? The Jews.
Oh, most definitely. I talked about that in the video. I said the
biggest ones on Section 8.
I said, and they commit the highest form of welfare fraud you will ever see.
Yes.
Millions of dollars. Now, and I said also they may not keep the money, but they will not arrest them either. They will not throw them in jail for a crime such as that. Now they got Bernie Madoff, and I think the reason they got him is because he was stealing from them.
Right, he was. And you know, they said in jail, he said he would do it again. It was still from the same people again.
Because he realized how easy it was.
Uh-huh. Well, you know what, y'all? Here's the bottom line. White supremacy is welfare. It is literally, it is welfare, because they get perks and all kinds of things the rest of us don't get. White supremacy itself is welfare.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. So old Hannity is scamming the system.
In a huge way.
Ooh, 800 homes, 800?
870 properties.
Wow.
And the biggest question is, how is Ben Carson going to deal with this? After all, he's over it. He's over that. He's over HUD. So what is he like? How is he going to deal with that?
I don't know. Trump may not let him do anything.
Right.
You know?
And that's probably, and Harvey actually said too, that's probably why Trump hasn't shown his taxes. I said, now that you say that, it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? I did a video this morning on how Trump lied about.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'll watch it when this is over.
Yeah, and apparently back in 1984, Trump lied to Forbes magazine to get on the top 400 list of the most wealthiest. And it said that Trump told them he was worth $100 million. And come to find out, Trump was only worth $5 million.
$5 million.
Which means he was not even eligible to be on that Forbes list at all. But he lied to get on there. But see, you know what? That's white privileges. Why didn't anybody check his income?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you got to think that 5 million, Tareen, was based on his properties. So that doesn't necessarily mean he had that money in the bank.
Right.
That was just the value of all of his properties at that time.
And also remember, this man
5 million on hand in cash.
And remember, this man has gone bankrupt 3 times.
Yeah.
I said, so y'all claim that this man is such a good businessman, but he went bankrupt and had to freeze his assets 3 times. And y'all say that he's a good businessman? Yeah. A good businessman is going to try to avoid being bankrupt even 1 time.
Mm-hmm. So what he, because they said Trump really literally can't borrow money in the U.S. He borrows his money from Russia. See, that's why he won't come out against Putin. No matter how much they try to push him to do it, he won't do it.
He knows who butters his biscuits.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dallas Fort Worth, they don't check his background because he's white. They could have easily found out just from looking at tax records. That shit is public.
And something else just clicked to me. What if he became or fought to become president to hide that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he knew that they were coming for him, and they said the only way they're not going to get you is if you become president.
Right. And even to this day, he still hasn't showed his tax return. And I said, you know, he won't. He don't want anybody to see what he's really worth. Trump ain't worth that much money.
Right.
I never believed he was. One thing I noticed when he was on the campaign trail, he would say, I'm very rich. I'm very, very rich. I actually had a video where he said that at different campaigns, just him repeating that, I'm very, very rich. I said, you know what? You got to look at the elites. They don't go around doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Trump does. I said, no, that man ain't very, very rich. He's a con man. That's what he is.
Right. And notice he said he's very rich. He never says he's very wealthy.
Right. Yeah, well, he's not going to. That's the thing, August Green. They could have gotten Trump's tax records, and they won't get it. They won't get it. You know, and that's his white privileges. Exactly. He's not a billionaire. Trump is not a billionaire. He says he is, but I'm telling you, that man ain't no billionaire.
And if he is if he was a billionaire, he's not a billionaire anymore. Because he inherited his stuff. He didn't work for that. He inherited that. He's a what they call that? An anchor baby?
Trust fund baby. Trust fund baby.
Trust fund baby.
No, Trump says he's a billionaire, but I'm telling you, that man ain't no billionaire. He ain't no billionaire. And that's a big reason why he's not going to show those tax records, because if he does show it, you're going to find out he's not so wealthy after all. And that's what he doesn't want you to see.
And speaking of Trump, did you see that picture that went viral where Melania Trump, Barack Obama, and Michelle Obama were at Barbara Bush's funeral? And he was sitting in between Michelle and Melania Trump. And he, I don't know if he said anything to Melania, but Melania was smiling from ear to ear. They said even the former president can make Melania smile and Trump can't. Because notice every time she's around Trump, she always has this look of disgust on her face. But when she's around other people, she seems to be more alive and vibrant. Mm-hmm. I said that is something that marriage just doesn't seem authentic at all.
It's not.
It seems about as plastic as her face.
It's not. I think if they didn't win, I think if Trump was not in the presidency, her ass would have done got up out of there by now.
Tasha said Melania looked like she wanted to kill Trump in his sleep. she probably dreamed about it. You never know. Mm-hmm. Did you see that that video of that guy being tased on the plane and he got handled by them 2 black cops?
Yes.
And he was so arrogant with it too. Now remember, it's so crazy. Just last year around this time, who was we dealing with on a plane? That David Dow character.
Yes, I remember that. That was
around the same time.
That was the Asian guy, right?
The Asian guy. It happened around the same time last year on a plane, and they had to carry him off, and it was black cops that had to do that too. Now I don't know. I don't think it was the same airline. I don't think it was United. If it was United, they would have blew this up. But he was being very arrogant. He was like, "Do you know who I am?" I'm trying to look at him. I'm like, "No, I don't know who you are. I know you being very loud and belligerent. And you about to get your ass off this plane."
Wow.
And they tased him a couple times. I'm telling you, when he got tased, that looked so funny when he fell to the ground. You said, was he white? Lisa, how would you describe this guy?
Was he white? He looked like a mutt.
Let's put it this way. If he committed a terroristic act, they would call him a terrorist.
Yeah.
That's that's the best way I could describe him. I want to talk a little bit about this Florida school shooting that pretty much went unnoticed. Like they didn't talk about it like I knew they wouldn't. Right. And it's crazy because it happened all happened on last Thursday? Whatever the day the 19th was, or the 20th, whatever day it was. As we all know, that was the 19th anniversary of Columbine. I remember I was in elementary school when that happened. And there was this shooting that happened in a Florida school, and no one got killed, but one person got shot. One of the students there got shot. They said the shooter's name was Sky Booch. I think that's how you say his last name. Mm-hmm. And when I saw his image, I said, "Oh, the mainstream media and them right-wing idiots are gonna say, oh, he's not white, he's Hispanic." They're gonna try to Nicholas Cruz him too.
Right? No, they don't get to do that. when they count these people as white in the census. No. And when they commit a crime, all of a sudden they're not white. No. They're white.
Exactly.
They're white.
Exactly. Oh, okay. King Mark said that the guy on the plane that we were just talking about, the reason why they came after him was because he was fondling a black woman and yelling racial slurs. I did hear the racial slurs part. I didn't know about the fondling.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got him in. They took him in, and it's so crazy because that happened on the same day as the Columbine shooting anniversary, the day that the kids had planned to do another one of those walkouts for the school shootings, and the same day that those two cops got killed in that restaurant by that white guy.
Yeah.
All of that happened in the same day.
Did they ever show the picture of the white guy that shot those two cops?
No, and I remember True had did a video about it, and she was trying to find a picture.
I was trying to. I said that I don't think they released it yet.
They only released his name and his stats, but they never released his image.
Right, because that's a white dude. That's why that was a white dude.
Exactly. Dallas Fort, where you say you wanted me to talk about the guy who got accepted in Harvard. Okay, so there was this guy, and I think his name is Drake, and he kind of looks like Drake. That's the interesting thing about it. He got accepted into Harvard University, and there was this Texas official, this white guy who looks just like Ben Franklin without the wig, and he said, "Congratulations." He said, "So did you get accepted on merit or by quota?"
Well, first of all, let's clear one thing up. White people do not always have the best grades. And
right.
That's the truth.
Exactly.
Now, some of them do, but some of them do not.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, last year, I did a story on, for the first time, there were more non-white students that got accepted into Harvard in 2017 than white people. And everybody that gets accepted over them is not over a quota. Sometimes they really, truly have better grades.
Exactly. Like, because they love to bring up that. See, it's that whole thing where they feel that we should have a low IQ and their IQ is higher than us. And it's almost like, for them, it's almost like a pissing contest. Whose piss can go the furthest. And when that story came out, because I remember that, I said, uh-oh. They about to lose their minds now, because not their precious Harvard, one of the Ivy League schools. I said they about to lose it. But see, the thing is, the world is changing around them, and they're not able to adapt to that change. Like it's like for them, the world changing around them is the equivalent of it crumbling.
Right, but see, they don't want to have to compete. Now we are in the times of a lot of competition, and they want to still use the fallacy, well, I get it because I'm white. No, no. Now they have to actually compete, and you're seeing that they are falling short. They don't have the best grades. They are not the smartest. They are not your best worker on the job. But see, we knew this all along.
I remember with some stories coming out where there was these little black boys who they deemed geniuses, who were smarter than Albert Einstein and Bill Gates and Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
These are young boys who are probably like in middle school range. I said it's stories like those that they like to try to keep hitting because they don't want our geniuses to really thrive. I even had to go one time and actually look for a story just to talk about them, and I ended up finding one, and I had did it I think a couple months ago. Where it was like talking about like the 10 black child prodigies, and all of them were under the age of 18.
Yeah. But
I'm talking about these are really smart kids. Like they were either going to Ivy League schools, or they were inventing something, or they were building something. They were being entrepreneurs or being child prodigies.
Yeah. I had a cousin that went to college at 12. So we had one in my family. So no, these things are real and they're true. But see, they have poisoned the entire world to believe that they are the smart ones up in here. And you know what? The fact that they had to invent an IQ test to measure, how do you measure intelligence anyway?
Exactly.
You really can.
Notice they come up with stuff like that when we are like getting very close to catching them.
Yes.
To be honest, I think we've already surpassed them, but let them tell it. We haven't even scratched the surface.
Right. Right. But they're not that damn smart. We're around these people all the time. You know damn well they don't have the intelligence that they're claiming to have.
Let me see. J Dog said, did you hear that the state of Tennessee took away money from Memphis because 2 black people bought some land and took down some statues of Confederates? I did hear about the one where they were talking when they was about the Confederates that they were going to take money away, but I didn't hear about the 2 black people buying land. See, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. See, black people will buy land and all types of things to, you know, grow their economy, their personal economy, and in come these monsters to snatch it up.
Yeah.
And then act like nothing happened. Look at, what's his name? Richard Spencer. I haven't heard about him lately. I wonder if someone actually punched him into a coma.
Yeah, I don't know.
But remember when it came out, I think it was last year, where it said that his family, the farm that they own, that actually was owned by some black people, and they stole it
from a black family. Yeah, I'm not surprised. A lot of those people down in the South did that. You know, I did a Black History piece on my old channel, and it was about Wilmington, North Carolina. Wilmington, North Carolina was predominantly black. Mm-hmm. After the riots took place, the whites stole all of the bank money of the black people, stole their homes, stole their land, stole their livestock. If you go to Wilmington, North Carolina today, it's all white.
I know about Wilmington, North Carolina.
All of those white people.
Because when I was in college, I had to drive through Wilmington, so I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Joe Johnson said, "Who's on the panel?" That's Lisa. Lisa's on the panel. It was another one that I saw. People wanted us to talk about the neo-Nazi rally they had in Georgia, and yes, I did see that they had these big swastikas, that were like, they were huge, like you couldn't miss them, and they were setting them on fire. They said they wanted it to be known that they were out there.
Yeah.
But also, did you see Jason Black was out there? Like he was like documenting it, like he has it up on his channel.
And I saw the brief video he had out there on his channel.
Yeah, and it almost looked like a little gathering. Now, this was funny. You're going to crack up at this. Now, I saw the most recent one he posted up, and it was this black guy out there, and I think he was a coon anyway with what he was saying. He was shouting out, he was saying, all lives matter. Like they were chanting back with him until they were saying, all lives matter. No. He said, no, hold on. He said, all lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. 1 minute later, impeach Trump. Crickets. They were so vocal when he said all lives matter, but the minute he said impeach Trump, they got quiet.
Oh my God. How you doing, Joe Johnson? Yeah, I saw that clip. I did see that.
They said that he got real quiet when he said impeach Trump. That part actually made me laugh, because at first I was like, oh God, another one of these all lives matter people. And he probably is one. But then when he said impeach Trump, it was like, we was with you up until that point.
Yeah, we do have a serious coon problem, King Stan. I do agree with that.
Oh, and speaking of coons, and I wasn't even expecting to talk about this person right now, but what the hell? So I forgot what video I posted up today, and this troll came to my channel and said I needed a dose of Brandon Tatum. First off, do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Okay, it's like I gotta prepare myself for this. Some of the people in the comments in the chat may know who he is, but Brandon Tatum is like the epitome of a whitewashed black person. Like I swear, like you can just close your eyes and all the talking points that he delivers is nothing but Fox News rhetoric. Like he did a video about the 2 black guys in Starbucks, and he basically got mad at the CEO for shutting down the Starbucks for a day. You know, to do the racial bias training thing. But he got mad at it, not for the reasons we did, because we all thought that it was some BS that they were going to do it anyway. But we said it was BS because it's not going to change anything. You can't do something like that and expect the racial nature to be taken out of a person like that. He got mad because the guy's actually doing it. He started saying that whole social justice warrior thing. See, it's keywords like that lets me know what talking points they are. Then he started talking about some white disenfranchisement. Oh, I said, wait a minute. I was like, what? I said, white disenfranchisement.
Yeah.
So basically, what he's saying is it's our fault for pointing out racism for why white people are the way that they are.
Yeah, I bet there's some.
I was like, oh god.
I bet there's some white girl somewhere in his.
Yes, life. Princess Fiona. He's the ex-cop. Is he still a cop? I'm not sure if he is a cop, but I think he is one or was one.
Oh, yeah, right. You're right. David Clark Jr. Right. I know who he is now.
But when I heard, because it was a person's channel who I just discovered today. Their channel name is called Opinion But Facts. Does very good videos. He actually did a live stream like 3 days ago dissecting what I was just telling you about with the whole Starbucks video that he did, and it was like, my goodness. And then he kept contradicting himself over and over again. And when you see the comments that are left by the people, someone actually said that this is why the coons are dangerous. Somebody actually said he should be the director of the urban movement.
What?
Yes, and yes, a colonizer said that. I'm like, they actually want to put these coons in some kind of position. They actually give people like Diamond Silk, Brandon Tatum, David Clark, Jesse Lee Peterson, all of them praise and say that they should be leaders of our community instead of ones that we had in the past.
They want anybody that they know is not going to give them any pushback.
Yes, Dallas Fort Worth. Yes, he is the one that called them. I'm sorry to cut you off, Lisa. He is the one that called them thugs. He called them thugs. That Brandon, he called them thugs in the video. I'm like, these guys are real estate agents or realtors. I'm sure they had to have a lot of training, went to a lot of schooling to get that and make a lot of money, and probably more money than you.
Yes. In fact, the third guy that was coming, he was also into real estate too. So all three of them were.
Yeah, exactly. That's who was the white guy that was there who was questioning the cops, like, why were they being arrested? That was the guy that was meeting them.
Yeah, that they didn't even get in Starbucks 2 minutes, and that manager called the cops.
Just yeah, they said they walked through the door at 4:35, and they started dialing at 4:37.
Yep.
And then what's so crazy is I went back to look at his channel today, not to watch anything, but it's a reason I did. Because remember, the video came out in California, in Torrance, California, about the guy who wanted to use the restroom, and it found out that he got denied the code, and it was a white guy that came out and he asked him, did he buy anything? And he said no. I went to look at his channel to see if he did a video about that, and of course he didn't. Why? Because he could not flip that to turn that on us and have them look good in a good light.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that guy did that brilliantly.
He really did.
He did that brilliantly. He waited for him to come out the bathroom and just was like, "Hey, how you doing? You know, and you get the code. Oh, you gonna get some food? Oh, okay, I'll just come up there with you."
Actually, I think the timing was right, because I don't think he knew anybody was in there. So it was actually, it's almost like fate happened and it just like worked well. It worked in his favor, because I don't think he knew it was anybody in the restroom, because you need a code. Like, you have to press the code to open up the door. It's not like you can knock and see if there's anybody in there, because the door would be locked anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think when he came out and he had his video recording and he asked that guy that question, when he waited until he was in front of the cashier who denied him the code to ask him. That way she could really be be out there on Front Street, and you should have saw the look on her face.
Oh, like, I know.
He was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was a Mexican woman. No, she was Mexican.
But we know how much they care for white people, so they're like they are the co-colonizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I haven't been to a Starbucks in I don't know how long.
I don't go only because there used to be one in my immediate area, and they left out of here maybe like around 2012. And ever since, all the ones that are, they're further out from where I live. So I don't even bother going to Starbucks. So for me, when you say boycott, that's easy. I'll go there anyway. I'm not going to go.
Exactly.
But, but one thing, since that happened, I did start looking into the local coffee houses, and I found about 4 Black ones.
That's what I said earlier before you had came on. I said this incident right here is actually going to force a lot of Black people to find Black-owned coffee spots to go to.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot because they're the cheapest to start up. So a lot of Black people are getting into that business, and they're doing quite well.
I just said that it's a shame that it took something like this for them to get some get noticed. But when I said because we don't have a real Black media and any kind of network that can actually advertise them where people can see them more often, like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, it's kind of hard for you to find them. So you have no other choice but to go on the internet and like Google search Black-owned coffee shops or Black-owned this or Black-owned that, and then a whole list will come up. But that's the brilliant thing about the internet. You can pretty much find anything.
Yeah, but with all these white people out here now calling the cops on Black folks and all that stuff, personally, I think Black people should consider shopping online more. That way you don't have to deal with being in their stores, being followed, and you look suspicious and they were scared, and you don't have to deal with none of that stuff. And when you do go out, try to go to a Black-owned business. I think we're going to have to start being more like that and having less and less contact with these people out in public in stores. Because you can see how detrimental that is turning out to be for us.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, the LA Fitness. I'm not surprised about that. And, being in New Jersey, there have been other incidents between LA Fitness and Black people in this state. So that's one of many incidents that you saw. But, there are a lot of Black people with LA Fitness memberships too. Now, after that incident, I was hearing on the news that many of them are canceling their membership.
See, all it takes is one. Just one. August Dream said, I've read that Black-owned coffee houses have seen a spike in sales since that Starbucks debacle. Well, that's good.
Yeah, and they're good coffee shops. They got nice setups. It's not like you walk in there and this little hole in the wall. Many of them, because it's such low overhead to get started, they have a nice variety of like African coffees and all kinds of, and many of them have little snack, or some of them sell food, but all of them don't. And the ones that I saw are pretty damn nice. Real clean, well kept. I wouldn't mind going in there periodically and getting some coffee. But, it's such a low amount of money that you need to get them started. Really, technically, you don't have to go to the bank if you're willing to maybe save some money and maybe do a crowdfunding for the rest until you have all of it. All you need is $15,000 to $25,000 to start your own coffee business.
Right.
Yeah, Mother Nature, I was reading a lot of Black people across the country since that incident went viral are canceling their membership with LA Fitness. And like I said, they had quite a few Black people that were members.
And you know what's so crazy? You would think that with all of this stuff going on right now, a lot of those businesses will be very careful with how they treat the Black customers, because all it takes is one incident such as what happened at the LA Fitness or what happened at that Starbucks for them to lose a huge customer base. not just at that particular location, but on a national scale.
Oh yeah, you know, look, H&M has never been the same since that coolest monkey in the jungle thing. They have not been the same since. They have really been in the dumps ever since.
Remember, they had to come up with that sale, that 80% off sale. Basically, they was about to start giving away stuff for free. I can't remember the last time I went into H&M. H&M doesn't make clothes that are of my taste, nor do they really make anything that fits me. So I have no need to go to an H&M, whether in the store physically or order from them online.
Neither do I.
All right, Tashana, I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Tashana.
And also, did you hear what also came out about that same Starbucks with that same manager and the black female co-worker that was working there? She was saying something about that she was not a good manager and she did something with her money, like with her check, like she was cutting something out of her check.
Yeah, I heard she also demoted that black woman, didn't she?
I think so. I think when she confronted her.
Well, I'm not surprised. you know, in order for her to call inside of 3 minutes after some black guys walk in, you know she was white supremacist. Definitely.
Exactly, Christopher Clipper. Papa John's was another one. He put his foot in his mouth, and not only did he start losing sales from his store, but he ended up demoting himself out of the CEO position.
And to this day, even black people around me already said they are not getting Papa John's pizza permanently. They're not going back.
And you know, it's interesting because where you at, they have a lot of those small pizza spots up there that are better than Papa John's. That's one thing I like about going up to the tri-state area, like New Jersey, New York, because I always make sure that I get a slice of pizza before I leave up out of there. And you got, like, for those of you who've never been to that area or never been, like, you know, in New York, you have to get pizza from the hole in the wall spots because they make them the best.
Yeah, they do.
And they be them big slices too. I remember when I went to Atlantic City 2 years ago and they gave us this pizza. That pizza took up the whole table.
Wow.
It was huge.
No, I didn't hear about South Korea knocking down a Black Panther statue. No, I didn't hear about that, but I know it's doing extremely well in India. Now that I did a story on that.
The first time I had Papa John's pizza, which was years ago, I ended up getting a bad case of gas, or diarrhea, whatever it was, because I think it was that garlic sauce. You know that garlic sauce that they give you?
Yeah.
I think it was because of that caused me to. It turned my stomach. I had to take some Pepto-Bismol and go to sleep.
Right. They never had good pizza, Tareen. They never had good pizza. I remember the first time I ate it, to me, it didn't have hardly any. The whole pizza tastes the same. The crust, the cheese, the salt.
Right. It tastes like you might as well be eating the box.
Yeah, it didn't have no good flavor as far as I was concerned. It was never the pizza of my choice. I had it maybe 2 times, and after that, I didn't need to have it anymore.
King Mark said, "Am I doing an Infinity War review this week?" Is that even a question? Of course, you know I'm gonna do a review on that, and I'm seeing it on Friday. Of course. Now you already know. Of course, I'm gonna do a review of that, and I'm doing my best to dodge all the spoilers too. It's kind of hard, you know, especially this week. So, but I'm definitely doing a review. I had to go as far as muting a few words on Twitter just to make sure I didn't see any of them pop in my timeline.
Yeah.
But you know who do make some good pizza though? Have you ever been to Uno's before?
Yes.
That deep dish pizza?
Mm-hmm.
I love them, but I would like to go to Chicago one day and actually try the authentic one. Like
I had a cousin that lived in Chicago, and he said to me, he said, you know what? He said some of the pizza is so good, celebrities have Chicago's pizza flown in. They'll actually fly someone to get them a Chicago pizza. A lot of the celebrities do that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I need to go back there again. Their pizza is really good.
Oh, I just got something that came across that said Meek Mills just got released from jail.
That was the first thing I talked about as soon as I started this stream. I was telling people
I saw that.
I said he shouldn't have been in jail to begin with for what they charged him with. I said that. I told people, I said that judge had an axe to grind with him. You can look at her face and tell that she had something against him.
She yeah, I agree with that.
But yep, he's back. He's out of jail. I actually saw him tweeting on Twitter about a couple hours ago, and he got like a lot of retweets and replies and all kinds of stuff. Somebody had even posted up a meme on Twitter and said, "This is how Meek Mill gonna be like. This is his face looking at Black Panther." He was sitting there eating the popcorn saying, "Wow," because you know he was still locked up when the movie came out.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, Christopher Clipper, Shakey's. Shakey's had good pizza. They really did. I remember Shakey's. I think where I live at, we only had that one in the area. Of course, the white feminist wasn't gonna say anything about what happened to that lady at Waffle House. They don't defend my breath.
They don't defend Black women.
They don't. That's why I don't know why a lot of Black women follow behind them.
They never have, and I don't get that either. I don't even know why they keep showing up for the marches, because they never had the Black woman's back.
Never, ever. African Goddess said, "Is the judge really in a relationship with a white guy?" So that makes a lot of sense. I don't know who she's in a relationship with. Personally, I don't care. The woman just looks like someone who's not to be trusted.
Yeah, I know, when was it? It must have been last month. Papa John's around here was having all these huge specials, and I said, yeah, they're losing.
they're losing. Like, they're trying to get. And I've noticed something too. Ever since that whole thing with Papa John's, I haven't really seen any commercials advertising them. You know, you used to see them Better Ingredients Papa John's all the time. Now I barely see them.
Yeah, I haven't seen. If I did see it, I didn't pay attention to it.
J-Dog said, "I heard some Black women are leaving the feminism." Well, that's good. They should have never joined, but I'm glad that something triggered in them to say, you know what, this isn't for me.
First of all, feminism was never our problem. Okay, our problem has always been racism. Feminism was never a big thing in the Black community.
King Mark said the Black hero from Waffle House actually raised close to $100,000 for the families of the 4 victims who died. Yeah, he was raising money for the victims. Like, he didn't even want anybody to send him any donations. That's how much of a selfless person he is. He didn't even want the label of being a hero. Well, his life will be forever changed. He may not even have to work again.
Right.
Shoot, they said if Waffle House really want to make him repay him, give him some of that stock. Let him have some stock in the company. It don't even have to be a big stock. It could be something small and tangible that'll carry him over, you know, for the rest of his life.
Right. The thing is, you know, here in New Jersey, we don't have the Waffle House. The only time I get to go is when I'm traveling down south.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't like Waffle House. Like I was telling people in the video, the closest Waffle House to me is like in the mid part of Virginia. It's like 3 hours away.
Yeah,
and that's probably the closest Waffle House to me. But it's still plentiful throughout the South, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's
like I put it this way: if you are in the South and with Waffle House is like a McDonald's. It's one on every corner.
Right. I know. And the thing is, when I go down to Atlanta, I have relatives in Atlanta. When I go down there, that's when I hit up the Waffle Houses, going down and coming back up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was in school, people was like, "I don't want to go to Waffle House. It's so dirty."
Their food is pretty good, though.
But I've always liked, for some reason, I've liked diner style food.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because I can see them cooking or what they're making in front of me, and I don't have to wonder what they're doing.
Yeah, they do have Waffle Houses in Pennsylvania. That's true. But here in New Jersey, they don't. And I think it's because of the taxes. The taxes are ridiculous in New Jersey.
That's just like for the longest time, you had to go to the South to find a Sonic. Now Sonics are starting to really branch out. Like it's 2 Sonics in the state that I live in.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go there because I haven't eaten fast food in a long time. But if I still was, Sonic would probably see me quite often.
Mm-hmm.
Because those slushies and that crushed ice.
Yeah. You like the slushies. You sound like my son.
But the thing about them slushies, you will get an instant brain freeze if you drink it too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think of that video that I posted about the black guy that was fighting those 2 white guys?
I watched that thing like 5 times.
The guy actually picked up a guardrail. I think that's what the funniest part about the whole thing was. He picked up that guardrail and trying to hit the guy with it. The guy caught it, and that other guy in the picture went in the house to get
a gun.
And when the black guy saw that gun, he took that guardrail and pushed that guy down and took off. He
didn't know which way he went.
Exactly. He was looking. He looked to the left. He looked to the right. That guy was so all over the place. He didn't even realize it was people in the car recording him.
Yeah.
He was like right there.
No, you're right, King Stan. I say that all the time. They ain't shit with no weapon. You take that weapon away from them, and I'm telling you, they can't fight worth a damn.
That great equalizer. Dallas-Fort Worth said another one happened. 2 black women sue Harlem Eatery for racial discrimination.
Yeah, like I said, this is something that has always happened. It's just that now we can capture that shit on camera where we didn't do it before in the past, because a lot of people weren't walking around with cell phones. No, I didn't hear about that, King Mark. Did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear that. I had to Google that. Well, it is true. They said that Starbucks launches an inquiry over hidden camera placed over bathroom. It said that it was a female customer, had found a spy camera taped inside the Starbucks bathroom.
Wow.
Taped in there. That means somebody put that there.
Yeah.
It wasn't installed by the company. It was installed by somebody else who probably works there. Probably some perv.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel anything for Starbucks, so well, that's their problem. And see, the thing is now, because Starbucks is under all this fire, they're going to try to find any and every little thing to nitpick about that Starbucks with just to create a story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be funny. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare after this sensitivity training. But, you know, there's a lot of Black people that already said they're not going back in Starbucks anymore.
Right. Like the damage is done. And I found out the 29th of May is on a Sunday. Ironically, they have it on a Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And I was reading some tweets that somebody had posted up, and they were saying how they having this racial bias training, and these white ladies was like freaking out because they can't get their Starbucks for one day. They mad over one day.
Well, they can always go. There's still 6 more other days they can go.
Exactly. But I did say this, though, and I actually want some of y'all to do this. On May 29th, just drive past your local Starbucks and see if they are actually closed.
I'm trying to think where's the closest.
I know, for me, I know where the closest.
I know where one is, you know, but it's not close. But I mean, it's
the
nothing.
The closest one to me is actually about driving wise, probably about 10 minutes away.
Yeah, for me, the closest one is probably about 15 minutes.
Just drive past it and see if they are actually closed that day. Because I would like, because I don't know what it is. I just want to see if they actually are closed. And if it's like a notice on the door, I would like to see what that notice reads.
Yeah.
I think the best bet is probably if you want your coffee, just make it yourself. Get you one of them little Q rigs and hook that thing up and make your own coffee.
I make my own at home anyway, Tareen. Whenever I want it, I just make it at home.
I think the thing that gravitates a lot of people to places like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts is because they have those special drinks that people can't make at home or they don't know how to make.
Right. But you know what, like you said, if you get a Keurig, you can get different flavor coffees. You can make lattes with it, cappuccino. You can do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Someone said, I wonder if this includes Starbucks inside. Yeah, it includes every Starbucks. If the Starbucks is in a mall or if it's in a store, it includes all of those. In the airport, whatever. Because I know where I work at, there's 2 of them.
I didn't know that non-racist white folks existed. They don't. Yeah, I mean, I have a Tasmo coffee machine, and you know, it makes lattes and all that stuff. So you know, I generally make mine at home.
Right.
You know, I don't. You know, I rarely.
And I'm not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
Like I'll get like, I've had like the first time I really actually drank coffee was when my grandmother was still alive, and she used to let me drink some of her coffee.
Okay.
And then the last time I probably tried it was I tried iced coffee for the first time, and it actually wasn't that bad. You just got to make sure that it has the right amount of sugar and cream in it, because otherwise it will taste bland.
Right. Okay.
Someone said white college kids in New York hang out at Starbucks, and they said, I bet they don't buy anything either. They probably don't.
Well, they don't. They didn't even buy anything. Yeah, they didn't even buy anything at that Starbucks where those guys got arrested. It was white people standing up in the video saying, "I'm buying nothing all the time either."
Yeah, because a lot of people go there for their Wi-Fi.
Right. And
the Starbucks has a history of being, I think, one of the first establishments to install a Wi-Fi system in the business, and then a lot of other places follow suit.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that made them so popular, and what gravitated a lot of people towards them was because of the Wi-Fi. But now Wi-Fi is universal. So now you don't have to always go to Starbucks for your Wi-Fi.
Right.
Unless your cable is out. Or your internet is out, I should say.
Well, I did one time. We had a power outage that went on for, I think, like 12 hours. So I went around there and sat in, it was the Dunkin' Donuts right around the corner from me. I sat in there for a few hours and then came back home.
Do you remember a few years ago when white people lost their minds over them holiday cups of Starbucks?
Yes.
They got so upset because Starbucks had came out with their holiday cups, but it was just a red cup. It didn't have any designs on it or nothing. It was just a red cup. And they got that outraged over that. So I knew then that white people took Starbucks seriously.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard. I said, y'all actually got mad over that? A design?
I know, right? That's so petty.
And I bet none of you had an input to that design. Y'all weren't on the marketing team. Maybe they just felt lazy that year and said, you know what? We can't come up with anything this year. We're just going to put out a red cup. And they probably did that to troll the people. And if that was the case, it worked.
Yeah. You know, the Vanguard Veritas just brought up a real good point. He said it's probably not even a real training. They'll probably watch the video. I said, you're probably right.
Right. It probably isn't a real. Now that I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that. I would actually like to see what they are going to actually talk about. But someone actually also
aren't they bringing in the Defamation League?
That's what I was just getting ready to talk about. Yeah. Why aren't they bringing in black people to do this?
Right.
Why are you bringing in the ADL? The ADL has nothing to do with this.
Sure don't.
They don't understand our plight, even though they claim to, but they don't. Yeah, they're gonna just drink. They're going to drink their coffee from Starbucks, most likely, and watch a video. Also, it's so crazy because the DC police, and I did a video where I talked about in the live stream. They wanted to do some kind of something like the same thing as Starbucks, where they take them on a nice little field trip to the African American Museum in DC and have them do some kind of training, almost the same exact way how to deal with us. Oh. I said, isn't it amazing how they need all this training on how to deal with black people, but it's white people that's shooting these places up?
Right.
I'm just waiting to see if a mass shooter is going to run up in a Starbucks and what they're going to do about that, because it's coming. It's coming. Now, just imagine if it was a white person in that situation and they got taken out and they were denied a code to use the restroom. What would they do? How would they have reacted?
Oh, they would have had a meltdown. They would have had a meltdown. Yeah, well, the ADL has no business doing anything with racial sensitivity. No defense, but if I had to go to a class and I found out the ADL is doing it, I wouldn't go.
Right, and they're probably making it a requirement. And the thing is, Starbucks has black employees, so they got to sit in on that too.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, this is going to be funny. It's going to be interesting. Oh, Lisa, what did you think about the seasoning wraps?
I laughed at that shit. I can't believe somebody is that pathetically lazy. Oh, they need some shit like that. I wouldn't buy that in a million years. Why are they selling for $3 and something?
Yes, from Stouffer's.
Oh, that's crazy. You can't be that damn pathetic where you can't pick up some seasoning and sprinkle it on your food.
Right. Like when I saw that and I saw the commercial, I was like, what is this? I didn't really pay attention to it until I saw it again online. I was like, really? They have become that lazy that they have to get some parchment paper and put some adhesive on it, attach some seasoning to it that's probably not even good for you.
Yeah.
Pat it down onto your chicken and then bake it. Like, what? What is this?
Yeah, I saw a woman do it, and they had it in a frying pan. And then it said cook the skinless, boneless chicken 10 minutes on each side with that paper on it, and then it was done.
I said, nope. I'll pass. I said, I season my food to my liking, and I know that I would not get the desired effect with no seasoning wrap. And apparently it's been out for a while now, but it's just that now it's just now being advertised. And I said they knew right to advertise it with a white woman and a white child, because there's no way they would have been believed if it was with a black woman and a black child.
No, not the way we like to season.
Not with the way we like to season our food.
That ain't gonna work for us. Yeah, and you know, you really got to read the package. I don't even know what kind of seasoning they have in there. They just tell you what the flavored chicken it makes. I don't know.
Right, like that is some.
No.
I could not believe what I was seeing when I saw that. I was like, no, they did not come up with this. I said, as much as Paula Deen and her racist self been cooking like black people for years on the Food Network channel, none of you picked up anything from her.
Right.
I laughed so hard when I saw that.
Paula Deen actually had a restaurant, probably still there, over in Philly. And when you go in there, all of her cooks, everybody in the kitchen was black.
I bet they were.
And I said that's who she learned the cooking from. Okay.
She probably learned it from her maid.
Yeah.
Remember, she said she wanted a slave style wedding.
I remember that. It's a poisoning, not seasoning. You're probably right, Dolly.
Yeah, Joe Johnson. We've been talked about Sean Hannity.
Yeah, we already spoke about Sean Hannity, Joe. No, they can't cook. You know, that's part of the reason why they gotta cheat.
I said, if they're gonna try to take the whole culture, how are you not gonna take one of the biggest parts of our culture, which is our cooking? Like, it's like that's where they dropped the ball. And don't get me started on their Kool-Aid. They only put the Kool-Aid packet in there. They don't put no sugar in there. It's just like drinking flavored water.
Ew.
I'm like, they be like, the packet said you have to put 2 cups of sugar. No, you don't go by the packet. With us, we don't even do it by the cup. We just scoop and dump, scoop and dump, scoop and dump. Taste to see if it's desired. If it still tastes right, you put some more in there.
Yeah.
We put enough in there to taste the diabetes, but not actually get diabetes.
Yeah, you know what? I used to work with a white woman, Dallas Fort Worth. I used to work with a white woman that told me she prepares all of her meals in the microwave. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
And what did she bring in?
She said everything she prepared in the microwave, her chicken, her everything she did.
Her chicken
in the microwave. She said she used the microwave for everything. She rarely used her stove.
I bet her stove looked brand new. It probably still had the plastic tape on it. That's why I don't trust their cooking. Like, if we, like, good thing I work at a place where they wouldn't have a potluck, and even if they did, I work with mostly black people, so I know our food will be off the chain. But I couldn't do a work at a place where it was like, say, a potluck type of thing. And even if it was, I could probably look at people's food and determine that was made by a white person, that was made by a white person. And another thing, have you ever seen where, like, if you're at an event at your job, and they'll be the first ones to reach over and grab something with their hands? I'm like, use the tongs.
Yeah, I have seen that many times. That mayor was going, you know, cancer.
DJ said, "What are they going to do when the power go out?" I guess she would starve.
I don't know what she's gonna do. I just thought it was crazy that she said she used the microwave for everything to prepare her food. I never heard that from anybody before.
Right. Oh, I was gonna actually save this and actually, well, I have the video recorded, but I'm gonna still upload it. Did you hear about this story about this white man who was? This happened in Oklahoma. So basically, let me give you like the backstory. This woman's car had broke down on the side of the road, and she was pushing her car as much as she could to get it to a gas station. Then all of a sudden, this guy was driving erratically, and he hit her.
What?
In her car. Now hold on. Listen, like, there's more to this story. The guy was under the influence. He was drunk, and his car, his truck, had her pinned underneath him, and she was stuck under there until fire crews arrived. I don't know how long it took them to arrive. Do you know that this guy had the nerve to get upset at her because he blamed her car for ruining his truck?
What? Not his drunk driving, her car.
Not his drunk driving, but her car being in the way.
Woo! These people are seriously, they're jacked up.
and get this, he was driving without a license.
Oh well, he needs to shut the hell up.
I'm gonna post that video up probably either tonight or tomorrow. When I saw that, I was like, I'm so confused right now. You actually blame this woman for your truck being messed up after you drove without a license and under the influence, and you had your truck pinned on top of her.
Right.
Pinned underneath your truck.
Well, what? Get the hell out of here. We can't blame.
I know. I told you wasn't going to believe it when you heard it, but the story actually did happen, and it happened in Oklahoma.
Well, now I'm not surprised. Oklahoma.
Right.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear that one. That's crazy.
When I found, I think somebody sent that to me, and I said, "Oh, I'm definitely going to talk about this, and y'all are not going to believe it when you see it."
Yeah, no, I did not hear about that one. That is crazy. Did they arrest him? He should have been arrested.
Yeah, they arrested him. They arrested him, and she's lucky. She's very lucky. She didn't die.
Yeah, right.
But I was like, you actually blamed her for your truck being wrecked, and you ran into her. Now, I also said, well, what if you hit it? What if you had hit a telephone pole or a tree or a light pole? You would have blamed those objects as well. For your truck being wrecked.
No, they did the right thing by arresting her. I hope she wasn't badly injured.
Well, she probably was. I mean, they said that she was pinned underneath his truck. So
yeah,
and they said until fire crews arrived. So somebody saw it and was able to call 911.
Yeah,
he probably pinned her, maybe laid over something that wouldn't have killed her. So it clearly is not like the truck was on her torso or anything like that. It probably could have been over her arm or maybe her leg.
Yeah. You're right, Marcel. Deflection. That is exactly what he did.
What's going on, True Royal?
Hey, True Royal. Did anybody hear how well Black Panther did in Saudi Arabia? Now, I know they were testing it, but I didn't know if it went public because they said they were going to show it to a test audience first. And then after that, it was going to be released so that the public could see it.
Well, I know that in Saudi Arabia, they said that Black Panther was the first movie being shown there in 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know. And I had a couple of trolls that were upset about that. I loved it. But I tell you what, it's what, number 3 now? The third best movie of all times. I'm just dying to see if it's going to move up anymore.
Who knows? They said that it's about 15 million away from hitting 700 million domestically.
Wow. Wait until it goes out on DVD. Man, that's going to be selling out everywhere.
Right. And actually, I think the Blu-ray comes out in about 2 weeks. What they're doing is they're leaving it in this week, and I knew they were going to do it. They're leaving it in this week because the new Avengers movie comes out on Friday, and his character is in that movie. So it's going to make money from that because a lot of people are marathoning all of the movies. And then since that was the last one to come out and it's still in the theaters, it's going to make a lot of money this week.
Yeah.
Or as much money as it possibly can. And then they're probably going to take the movie out and release the Blu-ray copy of it the next week.
Mm-hmm.
What got me
it surpassed Titanic. Yes, it did.
That's what I was going to say. What got me is that it surpassed Titanic.
Yes. But see, they kept Titanic out there for a long time. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember when Titanic first came out. As a matter of fact, when I had turned my TV on today, the channel had it on. Titanic was on. Now, that movie is just long because it came on at like 9 something and then go off to 2 something.
Yeah, it is long. And I remember they kept that in the movies forever because I worked with white women that went to see it multiple times. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, that thing is still in the movies. It was out there in the movie theater, I would say a good 4 months probably. It was out there for a long time.
Hey, Tasha, you said, is it only available on Blu-ray? They're actually releasing 2 copies of it. They have the Blu-ray copy and then they have a digital copy. I forgot which one comes out first. One comes out on the 8th and one comes out on the 15th. So they're releasing it 2 weeks apart.
Oh, good.
So it's like, oh, that was actually smart because they'll make money one week and then they'll make more money the next week.
Yeah. I mean, I have a Samsung tablet. Mm-hmm. If they have a digital, I'll probably get it and just watch it on there.
Yeah, it was a good movie, though. It really was.
First 2 hours of Titanic is boring.
It really
was kind of slow. It did start.
It didn't pick up until after they hit that iceberg.
Right.
And that's it. And it was so crazy when I looked at that movie because I remember watching that movie for the first time. Now, this is how you know it's old. When that movie came out of the theaters finally and went onto VHS, they had to release it on 2 of them. Wow. 2 hours per tape because it was so long that they could not put it all on one. So part 1 ended right after it hit the iceberg. And then part 2 was when they were trying to get the people off the boat and into those lifeboats and when the boat was sinking.
Right.
So basically, if you want to watch the Titanic and you want to get past the slow parts, just watch. If you had a VHS was still popping, you would watch just part 2. I know that's what I did. I watched part 2 over and over again because the sinking part was the best part of the movie to me.
And there were black people in real life. There were black people on that boat too. You know that in fact all of the kitchen crew were black people, and they also died.
And notice that they didn't show any kitchen crew in that movie.
Right. But the servers and everything on that ship, they were black. But I know they didn't, they didn't get into showing that. But black people also went down in that ship. The ones that were working on there.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy? The same guy who made Titanic is the same guy that made Avatar.
Wow. Okay.
And he actually beat his own record.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Avatar, that's another movie that's long as I don't know what, but it's a good movie though.
I saw that in the movie theaters, and I remember seeing it. Yeah, it was good. And when it came out on finally hit cable, I remember my son watched it repeatedly. He loved it. Hey, James Cameron.
Yeah, he was the director, James Cameron.
Yeah.
He's catching a lot of backlash right now because he has said something about the Avengers movie, something about fatigue or something like that. And I think it's almost like from a hating standpoint because he's been working on Avatar Part 2 for the longest, and he's watching all these other movies just flash right past them. And Avatar, that came out back in 2009.
Yep.
But you know what I do want to go see? Equalizer 2. That first one was so good. With Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That movie was so good, and they're coming out with a part 2. And this is actually the first time in Denzel's career that he's ever done a sequel.
Oh, wow.
So him and Antoine Fuqua got some kind of chemistry going. And the second one looked like it's going to be just as good as the first one.
Oh, wow. Hey, then I need to go to the movie theater and check that one out myself. Yo, y'all don't like Zoe?
Tashi D said, I want to see The Incredibles too. Listen, when the first Incredibles came out, I was in high school. I was, I think 14, 15 years old. And I remember watching it. Let me tell you, when the second one comes out, them kids better not get on my nerves because it's going to be a lot of adults in there. Because that movie, for a lot of people, came out when they were younger, who are grown now, are gonna really watch this. See, the little kids of today won't appreciate that because they probably never seen The Incredibles.
Right. Oh, you the Matrix 4?
What?
Sophia Stewart won her case. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I remember she had won her case. As a matter of fact, I know somebody on Facebook.
I heard her interview. She did an interview on Lance Scurv, I think. And it was just a few days ago, and I was listening to her.
Yeah, I actually know somebody on Facebook who actually knows her personally. When I say personally, I'm talking about had conversations with her and actually has worked with her. And I always tell them, whenever we were in our conversations, I said, make sure to tell Miss Sophia I said hi. And he would always reply back and say she said hi.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, what's so funny?
Have a book called The Third Eye.
And that's actually what the movie was supposed to be called, The Third Eye. It wasn't supposed to be called The Matrix. It was supposed to be called The Third Eye. But I'm glad that she won her case because for years they actually had us believe that it was white men that created that movie.
Yeah, I know, right?
And not only that, she created the Terminator.
Yes, she did. I heard her talking about that. That was a few years ago when I first ever even heard of her. They really just tried to bury this woman. They didn't want her surfacing. And then when she was talking about the Terminator, she was talking about the Matrix and how she, went in the Bible to come up with the Matrix story itself was based on the Bible. And she was talking all about that. But yeah, I did know she was involved in the Terminator, did the Terminator as well. And that just go to show you that lady is talented.
She really is. The woman was sitting on a gold mine.
Yep.
With the Matrix, just the Matrix. And they snatched that from her. But I'm glad that she was able to fight and win her case.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lot of people love these Matrix movies, but I said, this is the woman behind it. It wasn't even called The Matrix. It was called The Third Eye. I remember when I posted that up as a status a few years ago when I found out, it got a lot of reception. It was like, wow. It was actually called The Third Eye. I was like, yeah. And when you look at the movie The Matrix and look at the dialogue and how the movie framed itself, it makes sense why it was called that. But they would never have released it under that title.
Yeah.
I could say that they would have never released a movie called The Third Eye.
And Sonia C said Paula Patton is not aging well. I haven't even seen her in a while, but I did hear she took some woman's husband. That's who she's with now.
That's what I heard. I heard that. I heard
about that.
I heard that the man she's with now is married. That's
yeah. But I haven't. It's been a long time since I've even seen a picture of her.
Yeah, because she's in this new movie that came out called Traffic with Omar Epps.
Okay.
African guy said the black woman who created the Matrix and Terminator is working on another movie and said it was originally about a black man against white supremacy.
Oh, really? Okay.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, Vanguard, you said the Oracle was a black woman. Yep, she sure was.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's going to be mainstream or not, but Sophia Stewart she has put out some good movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. The woman got talent.
Yeah. Dallas Fort Worth said, did you hear about Michelle Williams marrying a white supremacist?
Yeah, I saw a picture of her with him. I was like, oh.
Is he really a white supremacist?
Well, he's evangelical.
Oh, okay.
He's an evangelical pastor.
Huh. As True Oil says, the plot thickens.
I'm like, okay, so Beyonce can marry black, Kelly can marry black, but Michelle is going white. Okay.
I've heard people say that she's like the stepchild of destiny.
Yeah. He's a Trump supporter. Okay, her man is a Trump supporter. Okay, well that says it all.
That answers
that. But I thought, isn't Michelle a Trump supporter too?
I don't know what her political views are.
I think when I read the article, I just read like a little excerpt, and I think it said she was a Trump supporter too.
No, King Mars said his Facebook is all Trump and stand for the flag stuff. Well, that answers that.
Yeah, right.
And I remember a few years ago when I used to work at a former job of mine, they had something they called the BET Honors. You probably heard of it. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing her there. I didn't know that was her until I got a closer look at her face.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of the flag, did you hear about the award that Colin Kaepernick received?
Yes.
Well deserved. It was like an amnesty award or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about it. And I think I watched a video. Somebody did a video on that. I think it was Black Reality. Mm-hmm. And I watched his video he did a video on Colin Kaepernick and him getting that award.
No, I haven't heard about Groupons. What happened with Groupon? They were saying that he was playing in her hair or playing with her hair. We're talking about Michelle Williams' fiance. The Underground Railroad game. What kind of stuff are they into?
Yeah, right.
But I remember back in the day, like when Michelle Williams first came into Destiny's Child, she had got a lot of comparisons to Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did kind of see it back then. A lot of people thought that was her. I was like, why would Aaliyah go from being a solo artist to being in a group, especially when she was bigger than that group?
Yeah, I actually Terrene Rain, Beyonce just did Rochella.
Yeah, Coachella. Yeah,
and at the end of the show, she brings Kelly and Michelle on the stage.
Yeah,
and they do a couple of songs together.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that over the weekend. I got a glimpse of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even gonna lie, and I had to actually put this on Twitter, and then I shared it on my Instagram page. As much as I'm not a fan of Beyonce, her performance at Coachella was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was. And
I can't even sit here and lie and say that it wasn't. I think the thing that got me was when she brought out that band, because that took me back to my college days, and I think that's what triggered it for me.
I thought that was
when she had that band, I was like, that reminds me so much of my undergrad days.
Yeah, that was pretty cool that she used the college students. I thought that was nice. And I did not see the second show. I watched the first one, but someone said the second show was even better. So I might sit and watch the video of the second show that she did.
Yeah, because the second one is basically a repeat of what she did the first time, but she's wearing some different outfits.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same performances.
Okay, now I didn't catch the second one. I just catch the first one, but somebody was like, you should watch the second one too.
Yeah, but it was actually pretty good. I can't even sit here and say that it wasn't. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, so did I. Okay, the Vanguard Veritas says it was a tribute to HBCU bands.
And people was making jokes in the like under the comments. They was like, she got this band up here, and it's like, why does it seem like the crowd is so dead? That's it. That's because Coachella has a mostly white audience. There's some black people out there, but them white people out there probably most likely went to PWI. So when they saw that, they probably were in a complete culture shock.
Yeah.
Because when they have bands that play, they don't be getting down like our bands do.
No, they never do.
When they created Battle of the Bands, which is mostly black bands, or when you think of like the movie like Drumline, that's what an HBCU marching band is like. We get it in.
Oh no. There will never be another Michael Jackson.
Oh, most definitely not.
There will never be another Michael Jackson. I posted one of his it was MTV performance on Black Junction.
Yeah.
It's one that I loved, and I posted it out there.
Are you talking about the one in 95?
Yes.
Yes, that was a good performance. It really was. But you know what performance was really good too? When he performed Remember the Time at the Soul Train Awards back in 1992 or 3, and he sat down the entire performance because he had injured himself. He performed the entire set in a chair and still got a standing ovation.
I remember that.
Yeah, Michael Jackson definitely. I always called him the king of music because putting him just in the pop category, that's not good enough for him. He transcended various genres. He was able to cover pretty much almost every genre of music.
Look, if you look at some of his live concerts overseas, he got them white Europeans passing out in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It just faint
right out there, fainting and everything in that heat. Had grown men crying for another grown man.
Yeah. I watched the footage earlier this morning. Janet and Randy went to Gary, Indiana to tour their old house.
Yeah, I was
watching that. That was pretty cool.
I wonder what that makes them feel like going back to their old home and seeing, that and seeing where they came from and, to where they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Clipper, the Motown 25 did when he debuted the moonwalk for the first time. I wish I was alive to see that. I know that was like a magical moment in history. People was probably at home looking like, what did this man just do? He just started going, like sliding backwards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There's no doubt about it. Michael was legendary. Like I said, you will never see another Michael Jackson or anything that's close to him coming out of the music industry again.
And also, Michael Jackson is the only artist in history to have an album go 3 times platinum. And of course, that album is Thriller. That album has sold over 30 million copies since its release. It has gone 3 times platinum, meaning 10 million, every 10 million sold.
You know what? Sonia C's just wrote, Otis used to have white folks crying and fainting in Europe in the 60s. You know, my mother had an article that came out in Ebony magazine. And, you know, I had saw this was years after he had died. And when they found Otis Redding in the bottom of the river that his plane went down in, they actually had a picture of him still strapped in the plane seat. They said his body was like a block of ice. They had to send special divers that worked for the military down in the ocean to get him and his band members out. They were all dead. But they said they had to literally let his body thaw for like 2 days and leave him strapped in the seat. It was nothing they could do. That's all, you know, and they showed him at the coroner's office still strapped in. I'm sure you could probably find that photo online. I was just blown away when I saw that.
Mm.
You know, his band was the Bar-Kays. That was his band. Mm. And the Bar-Kays went on, I think, in the 80s, and they made music again, you know, after kind of going silent for a while after that plane crash. A few of the band members weren't on the plane, so they were, you know, so they survived. They were never on the plane. But the few band members that were, they all died. I mean, when they went in that water, it was frozen. But I remember when she showed me that, I was like, oh my God. It was really dramatic looking at that picture of him frozen solid in a plane seat. When they took him out, they said they had to pop the whole plane seat to get him out. They couldn't even get him out of the seat. So they just left him in the plane seat. So when he's at the coroner's office, they got the plane seat on the floor with him frozen solid in it.
Wow.
I will never forget that. Yeah, the Bar-Kays was his band.
Someone that asked, do they think they'll ever admit foul play when it comes to Prince? No.
No.
We know that man did not take no fentanyl or whatever they claim that he took. At least not on his own accord.
Yeah, I saw that footage of MJ, Prince, and James Brown on the stage. Yes, I remember that. At first, it was Michael Jackson and James Brown, and then Michael Jackson called for Prince to come up on the stage. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And that's the only time all three of them was on stage together.
Yeah, all three were legends.
The next time James Brown and Michael Jackson were on stage together was at the 2004 BET Awards. I will never forget that. I was at home because James Brown was getting the Lifetime Achievement Award and he was performing, and James Brown thought he was done. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing all these people screaming really loud. And in comes Michael Jackson putting the famous cape on his back. I hopped up out of my chair and was literally running around the house acting like a little kid. I said Michael Jackson had this effect, and it's so crazy because when I was watching the clip again, it was this grown man sitting in the front row, and it was so obvious. He was jumping up and down like he was doing hop squats. Like it was so funny.
I remember
he had that effect on people.
I remember when Michael Jackson died, it was like every Jackson 5 song, everything he's done over the years, it seemed like that whole week was just all Michael Jackson music. No matter what radio station you turned on. I kind of love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when he died, June 25th, 2009. I remember I was on my way to my uncle's house to install a software on his computer, and all these tweets and Facebook posts started to roll in because I had just got out of school for the summer break. And like all the stuff was like coming in. They said first that Michael Jackson had a cardiac arrest. he was in a coma, and then they say he died. And I was like, wow. Now that's breaking the internet, because remember, the internet slowed completely down when he died.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get on anything. You couldn't get on Google. You couldn't get on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Everything was slow. Like, he literally jammed up every server in the world.
And I remember, oh man, I remember I went outside and everybody, all the neighbors around me was talking about, do you hear Michael Jackson died? I was like, yeah. And then I remember I turned on the radio and it was like all day was just all old Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson music. And I literally kept it on just so I could hear all the songs again.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget that. I was like, you know, it's a shame they did this after he died. I wish they would have done this when he was still living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not even gonna lie, Michael, when he died, I cried. I'll admit it. I had just turned 20 like the month before. And I remember when he had died, I went home and I was like looking at, because it was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. It was on local news. It was on world news. It was everywhere. Shoot, even Fox News had no other choice but to talk about it. Like, it was everywhere. Like, you couldn't escape it. His songs was playing. Like, basically, when the late news that come on here at 10 o'clock came on, the first clip they showed was the Thriller video. That was the first thing that came up on the screen. They had the little intro, and then the first thing you heard was Michael Jackson's Thriller, and that's basically all they talked about for like the first 30 minutes of their segment. Like, they didn't talk about anything on a local level. They just talked about him almost for the whole hour.
Right. And you know what? Michael revolutionized videos. Thriller was the first one where they did that kind of choreographed dancing and singing in. And from that point on, everybody was putting out videos where it was dancing and singing and choreographed singing. He was actually the first one to do that.
And he was also the first one to do like mini movie style videos, because, you know, Thriller was like a mini production. Like, it wasn't just a music video, it was a mini production.
Yes, it was.
I remember watching that as a kid and being scared to death. I was like, why is he acting so funny? And then he popped up and I was like, oh my God, like, he's turning into something. I was so scared. Now, anybody can tell you when they were younger watching that video will say that it scared them. Like, now I can watch it with ease, but back then it used to scare me.
Yeah, I know. I miss Michael Jackson too. When he died, I said, please don't take Michael, take Madonna instead. Don't take Michael, take Madonna.
But yeah, he was definitely an innovator. Him and Prince were both innovators in their own right, because Prince was a very talented musician. I will say that. I remember when he did his first interview after he was performing, they had asked him, so what instruments do you play? He said,
everyone,
all of them.
And, you know, when we would listen to Prince music, you didn't realize the horns, the guitar, the drums. He played all of the music himself.
Exactly.
Prince was actually a very good guitarist. I still say he was the best one in our generation. I know Hendrix and all of them, but in this 21st century, I would say he was the best guitarist in the 21st century.
One of my favorite songs by Prince to this day is Beautiful Ones. I love that song. Like, I like how it starts off, how the song is, but when he gets into that guitar riff and he starts to break it down, when he says, I know I want you, and I know you want me, and then he goes into that riff, and it goes into, it's almost like an R&B song that's with a pop song, and then when he gets that guitar riff, it goes into almost like a slow rock song. So it's almost like you combine three genres into one with that song. But I love Beautiful Ones by Prince. I could listen to that song every day.
And then when you watched him play, Prince, just a passion. Oh my God. It's almost like you feel the emotions when he's playing. It is incredible. He was an incredible guitarist.
He really was. He definitely played that guitar, and his logo is nice. Remember when a few years ago when he performed at the Super Bowl and it was raining?
Yes.
It started raining when he performed Purple Rain. I said, how ironic.
I remember Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance because I remember
I remember his performance.
It was a crowded house. Nobody wanted to go out. Everybody wanted to watch Michael Jackson's performance. And I mean, we didn't move. We watched that whole performance, and I love those holograms of himself that were popping up. That was incredible.
They said that Michael Jackson revolutionized the halftime Super Bowl performance. Like they said, he was like one of the first ones to do it, at least on that scale. Right. And then everybody else, of course, came after. They had to try to measure up. But let's be absolutely real here. We're talking about the king here.
Right. You know, the Jacksons have done so much to revolutionize music. You just don't know. The Dance the Robot came from them. Oh, yes. That came from the Jacksons. That came from the Jacksons.
Dancing Machine. I'm like, how is Michael able to move his body like that? Like, and he was moving like a straight up robot. Yeah. And just sliding all over the floor. He even knew how to tap dance a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Like he could, I said that guy could do it all. And they hated him for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember Prince's album Controversy. My mother bought Controversy for me, and that was the first time I was introduced to Prince. My mom introduced me to Prince, and I had Controversy. Mm-hmm. And Prince was just a teenager when he put that out. Mm-hmm. That album is off the hook.
I always, when I see how we reminiscing about this now, sometimes I say to myself, I feel like sometimes I was born in the wrong era because I feel like I should have been born maybe in the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, to experience like stuff like that, like with all these classic artists and all these classic music. That's why sometimes I find myself looking at maybe old films and stuff like that.
Sonia, you can go on YouTube and see the Jacksons variety show that they used to have on back in the day. That's still on there. Yeah, and LaToya, they had the girls there too. Rebe, LaToya, Janet, and and of course the group and Randy. The whole family was involved in that variety show. And you can still see it, just like you can see the old Jackson 5 cartoons. They had their own cartoon too.
I remember my dad would tell me that he used to watch the Jackson 5 cartoon, and they were everywhere. They were on lunch boxes. They had their own cereal. They had the cartoon. Then they had, later in life, they had their own variety show.
Yep. I mean, they were huge. Like I said, you are never going to see anybody have a family that goes into the music industry that will match the Jacksons. It has never happened. See, they thought back in the day the Osmonds were the answer, and they weren't.
Right.
They never measured up to the Jacksons. Never. I think they were hoping they were, but that they would, but it never happened.
And the thing is, the whole family tried their hand at solo singing, but I don't think any was as big, of course, than Michael and Janet.
Right.
Now, I will say this. Jermaine Jackson had some hits.
Yes, he did. He actually was a solo artist for a while.
That song he did with Whitney Houston called, what was the name of that song?
I know.
If You Say My Eyes Are Beautiful, yeah. I love that song. That is a beautiful love song.
Mm-hmm.
Like their voices went well together. Oh, speaking of Whitney, another legend we lost. I mean, when she passed away back in 2012, that shocked me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't shed any tears for Whitney until her funeral. At the end, when they started to carry her casket out and they played I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
I couldn't even hold back the tears when they
I cried because I saw her mother crying. Because remember, her mother was walking.
And they had to carry her out.
Yeah. And when I saw how her mom was weak, that's when I started crying. That's what got me. And can you believe now they're all buried together? Whitney and Bobby Christina.
Mm-hmm.
And did you see her death photos? They put them out earlier this week. I mean, last week.
Bobby Christina?
Yeah.
I didn't see him. I don't know if I want to see him.
They showed she had a missing tooth. And see, that's why Bobby was all over Nick Gordon. Because he said, I know you did something to her. Because, you know, they showed her mouth and they were pointing to her missing tooth. She had a missing tooth. But yeah, they showed her death photos. I took a kind of a glimpse at it. I didn't do a video on it because I said, I don't want to have to show her, you know, her laying in the bed and tubes running all through her. I didn't want to show that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Whitney couldn't beat that habit. Unfortunately.
No, but I tell you what, when she was on top of her game, woo!
Man, no, like she was singing, like it was probably people on other planets that could hear her voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, Whitney was from New Jersey, so I saw her quite a bit. I heard about Whitney when she was singing in the church. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Even then, you know, I would hear about, you know, this is girl Whitney in Newark, and I was like, I never went to the church, but I heard about it even way down here in South Jersey about what a phenom she was in, you know, singing gospel music in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, she was a teenager.
What I liked about Whitney was even though she had this beautiful voice, she still kept it real. Like when you look at old interviews of her, she did not cut corners with them people. I said she's still a Jersey girl at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I said Whitney was from the hood.
Yeah.
And she let you know she was from the hood.
Yeah, that drug habit had been with her for many years. You know, I mean, she was real young when she got into drugs, and it just never got better for her.
I would say
the national anthem, nobody topped her.
Oh, most definitely.
Nobody.
She killed that. Like, that's the only one I'll probably listen to. Like, she, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you noticed, but her rendition of the national anthem is the only one to end up on the Billboard Hot 100. It actually charted. A song that's been around for decades. She was the only one to have it re-released as a single, and it charted on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah.
They remixed it and all of that.
After she did it, it immediately got played on radio stations all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. And I never seen that happen with any other artist with the national anthem.
Now, I will say this. My two favorite performances of Whitney outside of that, well, one of them is a song, Didn't We Almost Have It All? I will always say that is one of her best vocal performances because she managed to hit a range and stay there the entire song without cracking her voice. The other one would be back in 1994 when she performed on the American Music Awards, and she performed 3 songs back to back to back for 10 minutes straight and didn't even lose her breath.
Yeah. The Vanguard Veritas, how involved was Nick Gordon in the death of Bobby Christina? See, Nick Gordon, and this is what Bobby has been saying, Nick Gordon has a reputation for being abusive.
Yeah.
And now, as you can see, now that Bobby Christina is gone and he's moved into other relationships, he's still getting in trouble for domestic violence.
Exactly. Because isn't the woman that he was with after her, didn't she say that he was hitting her? And he actually got arrested for it, but I think they dropped the charges against him.
Yeah, they did. In fact, I did a story on that. And I think now he's with a different girlfriend and he's still getting in trouble with domestic violence.
So see, he's just what the women of today would call a fuck boy.
Yeah. Well, you know his life went down the toilet. His ass is cutting grass. He's doing landscaping now.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that they had made a movie about Bobby Christina on TV One?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they had made a movie about her on TV One. This is basically talking about her life after Whitney had died.
Oh, you mean like a documentary?
It wasn't a documentary. It was an actual movie.
An
like,
actual movie? Oh, okay.
Actors and stuff and whatnot. And if what they said in that movie is true, Nick Gordon was really off the chain.
Okay. Wow. Well, yeah, she had a drug problem, but you know what? What chance did Bobby Christina have when she was always around her mother that was high? You really got to think about stuff like that.
Oh, of course, Black Justice. Marvin Gaye is another one. Another legend, unfortunately, that got taken too soon, and this time was by his own dad.
Yeah. There were stories later that came out saying the reason why his dad did that is because Marvin was actually abusing his elderly father. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what they put out there.
But yeah, and like he's a DC native, so it's like he's near me.
Right.
And he definitely made some good hits. As a matter of fact, on New Year's Eve back, I think in 2015, I had the opportunity to go and see Motown the musical. And let me tell you something, that was so good. If y'all ever get a chance to see that, if it ever happens to land in your city, make sure y'all go and see that. It was so good from beginning to end.
I went to Motown, Tareen, up in Detroit in 2007. I actually went to and walked through Motown. We had a family reunion in Detroit, and my relatives took us on a tour through Motown. So I actually did a walkthrough of the actual place in 2007.
I bet that was nice to see. And I'm sure they left everything exactly as it was. They probably added some things in, but they didn't really touch much of anything.
Right. And they had some of the outfits that the Temptations wore, and they took us down in the basement in the music studio and the section where they used to write music. We saw all of that. It was incredible.
Right.
And then they take you into this part that's a theater where you sit and they go over the whole history. You sit and watch the whole history of Motown.
Right.
It's pretty nice. And they show all the people that came in there, all the different acts and artists. It was really good.
Exactly. And I always said that Motown sound, it was always distinct. Like you always knew the minute that the song came on that it came out of Motown.
Right.
My favorite group out of Motown will always be the Temptations.
Yes.
That movie though, oh my God, that biopic, one of the best ones ever made. My favorite line from that movie will always be when Melvin and Otis went over to go see David, and Otis has said they didn't come to see you, they came to see the Temptations. David said, "Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis."
Yeah.
That line will forever be funny to me because of how he was. That line will always crack me up.
I remember that.
I said the casting of that was perfect because Mr. Leon, who played David Ruffin, looked just like the actual David Ruffin. He played that part so well. David
Ruffin died in a crack house in Philly, Pennsylvania, right in Philly. I know exactly where he died. He died right in a crack house in Philly and had a money belt on him that had over $20,000 in it.
Wow.
And I remember that. He gave his Cadillac to the crack dealer because he didn't want to give him money, so he gave him his Cadillac.
Right.
And
then they dropped him off at the hospital. Yeah, David Ruffin, he was strung out on those drugs and got caught up in that life, and he was such a talented man.
He was.
Because let me tell you, my girl, I could listen to that right now as if the song just came out today.
They had quite a few good singers.
Yeah, like they all were good singers in their own right.
Yeah, Dennis Edwards, David Ruffin, Eddie Kendricks,
Otis Williams. You had then you had Paul Williams. He was the first,
who was also a good singer.
He was the first to die because he had a drinking problem and he committed suicide.
Yes, he did, and he's the one that sung "Don't Look Back."
Yeah.
He sung the lead on that. Is that the one who was married to a nasty Caucasoid? No, Paul Williams was not married to a Caucasoid. He had a black wife. I wish.
And Eddie Kendricks, he died because of lung cancer because, you know, he was a smoker.
Yeah.
Melvin, he died from arthritis. I think Otis is the only one left because Dennis Edwards just recently passed back in February.
Yep. Okay, Otis Williams married a Becky. Okay.
He must have married her way after his first wife.
Because all of them had black.
Yeah, they all had black wives back in the day.
Yeah, they sure did.
Because his son, the saddest part, one of the saddest parts of that movie was when his son died.
Yes.
When they said his son had died from like falling off of a construction site, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Otis is still alive. He's the only Otis is the only one from the original group that's still living.
Yeah, I think he's the only one left.
He's like the only one left. Everyone else is dead. But one of my favorite songs too by the Temptations is Just My Imagination.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a nice one.
And I think that was the last song that Paul Williams did with them before he died, before he killed himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they tried to keep that music off of white radio stations, but there were so many hits coming out of Motown, and so much of the music was making it to #1 on the charts. They had to start playing it. Mm-hmm. They had to.
It was a scene in the movie where they were performing in a southern state, and they had it segregated where one side had white people on it and the other side had black people on it. They were performing. Yeah. And then later on in the movie, they went back to that same state, and all the white people and black people were all mixed up in the group. Like they took off the barriers and everything like that when they were performing. So it was almost like it showed you what happened, what their music actually did.
Yes. Yeah, the Staple Singers. I remember them. One of the sisters just died, I think, like a week ago.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that.
Women are old now. Those women got to be in their 80s. They're not young at all.
But you know what else? Whose death was also shocking? Phyllis Hyman.
Yeah, that was really sad.
She was going through it. But that woman was smart, though. I remember it was an interview I was watching, and she was talking stuff about the industry. I said either she's not going to last very long, or they're going to cut her short.
Yeah, she was signed under Clive David, so enough said, right?
So she was labeled Mace with Whitney.
Yeah,
under Arista.
Uh-huh.
And that last song that she came out with right before she died, called Lonely? Yeah. That song, you can tell by the way she sings that song that she was going through it. She felt like she had nothing else to live for. Her family members around her were dying, so she felt like she had nothing else to live for.
Yeah. And the sad part is, they gave her the boot once they got Whitney. And I thought that was so rotten.
Yeah. Yeah, Donny Hathaway, another legend. He gave us that. What's that song? The This Christmas song.
Yeah,
everybody does now.
Mm-hmm.
He is the originator of that song. If he don't get remembered for anything else, he will definitely be remembered for that.
Donny Hathaway. Okay. Yeah, I remember him. And I think he got pushed from a window, or he fell out of a window, and that's how he died.
Yeah.
A lot of people said he was pushed. I just can't see that man just randomly falling out of a window.
Another one is Minnie Riperton.
Right, I remember her. She was married to a Jewish guy.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Maya Rudolph, the actress, that's her daughter.
Yeah, I remember.
And I can see the resemblance like clear as day, like especially now that they look just alike.
Mm-hmm.
She died like young because I think, did she have cancer?
She had breast cancer.
Yeah. She died pretty much soon after her career started.
Yeah, she was out there. She had quite a few hits too.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course, everyone's going to remember her for Loving You and Back Down Memory Lane.
Right. She had quite a few hits. And I remember when they announced that she had breast cancer, and she went fast. It was almost like they told the public she had breast cancer and she was gone in no time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was only 31. I know she was very young. And that's why Maya said she remembers only certain things. She doesn't remember everything about her mother, because she was so young when she died.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donna Summers.
Yeah, the Queen of Disco.
Mm-hmm.
That I said she made her entire career off of that Last Dance song. She had other hits, like what was the name of that other song she came out with? It was another one she did, not Last Dance. Everyone knows about that one.
She did Love to Love You, Baby.
I always said, I'm gonna ask you and ask the people in the chat, if they made a movie and the character Donna Summers had to be in it, do y'all think Kelly Rowland should play her? I think she should.
Looks a lot like her.
She really does.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was a picture that Kelly Rowland posted up on her Instagram a couple years ago when she was wearing a wig that looked like something Donna Summer wore back in the day. And they put the picture side by side. I said, she should play her.
Yeah.
Love Come Down, that's Evelyn Champagne King. I may be 28 years old, but I know my music. That tells you what type of household I grew up in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Kelly. You think Kelly Rowland?
Yeah, I would say Kelly Rowland would be perfect to play her.
Kelly is beautiful.
She is. Have you seen her without makeup? She looks good natural.
She really is a very beautiful woman.
You know, and I also said that if they made a movie about Lena Horne, Alicia Keys should play her.
Yeah, they look very much. They have almost the same facial features. I mean, look, Lena Horne was biracial. Okay, I mean, she was biracial,
just like Alicia Keys is.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her mother and her father. Both of her parents were biracial, so that's why she was so high yellow. She was really, literally biracial. A lot of women during that time looked like that. You know, the white man was out here ravishing every black woman he could get his hands on. And that's the truth.
You know who else had a good voice at a very young age as a teenager? Stacey Lattisaw.
Yeah.
And she's from Maryland. She's actually not far from where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
When she came, and when I first heard her sing that song, "Let Me Be Your Angel," I was like, "Who was this grown woman singing this song?" It was like, she was like 13 when she sang that song. I was like 13, and then she remade that song, "Love on the Two-Way Street," which is one of my favorite songs, especially her rendition of it. And then she did that song with Johnny Gill called "Perfect Combination."
Those two were seeing each other for a while.
Yeah, and that because they're both like from the same area. I remember when I was at work one day and I was just having some downtime and I just put my earbuds into my phone and just started playing old music. I started listening to the Shy Lights.
Okay.
I was listening to Have You Seen Her? One of my favorite songs ever. And Old Girl. Because the reason why I say that is because the movie Crooklyn,
Oh my God, my son loves that out of Brooklyn.
That is a classic Spike Lee movie.
Oh my God. I ate 3 peas. That was my son.
Oh yeah.
I remember that movie. Oh, he had me play that. I watched that movie so much I knew the lines.
Right, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when they was in the house and they was watching the game, and Alfred Woodard's character was like, she said, "I told y'all no TV on school night," and she came up the stairs and she kicked that door open and turned that TV off. That whole scene when they was going at it, and then you had the daughter in the bathroom putting tissue in her shirt to try to make her seem like what she would look like with breasts. And the boy was banging on the door because he said, "I gotta use the bathroom." Like a whole bunch of stuff was just happening in that movie, in that one scene. I said, and I asked my dad, I said, "Is this how 70s life was growing up?" He's like, "Yeah, that's how it was back in the 70s." But the funniest part, Lisa, and I think y'all can agree with this, was when the dog popped up out of the couch.
Oh yeah.
She was like, "Queenie! Oh my God, Queenie!"
Woo, she loved that dog more than she loved people.
Right. That was so funny because the girls was having like a slumber party or something like that, and they couldn't find the dog, and she was so upset. And then she pulled out that pull-out couch, and boom, out comes Queenie
popping out.
African guys, we talking about Crooklyn.
Do you know we had my uncle had married this woman. It was a black woman, and she had a cat. Irene, you know how you see them cats when they get real fat?
Yeah.
And they got them little, because their head don't get any bigger, so they got the little tiny head and this big old fat floppy looking body. Her cat went out in the yard, and then we didn't see the cat because it was coming back and forth. It was outdoors, but it kept coming back in. So when we were down there, the cat went out in the morning, and a few hours went by and nobody saw the cat. So they started walking around. The cat collapsed and died in the back of the yard. Had a heart attack and died from all the weight.
Wow.
I was like, I tried not to laugh, but I was like, how did you let your cat get like that? It just looks weird when they are all fat and they got that little tiny head. It just don't look right. I'll never forget that. He cried like a person died. Just like Muhammad Ali's grandchildren, they are not African at all. Yeah, but you know what? Leia's kind of a coon compared to her father. She ain't nothing like Muhammad Ali. She's more of that, can't we just all get along kind of black person? And you know, Muhammad Ali was nothing like that.
Far from it.
Because I remember I saw her interview and she was like, well, everybody's life matter. All life. I was like, okay, Layla, that apple rolled far away from the tree.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke, yeah. My mom had a lot of his albums. I was very, I don't remember Sam Cooke. I remember being told about Sam Cooke. I don't remember him at all, but my mom had his albums. She loved the hell out of Sam Cooke. Yeah, I know about Diana Ross and Berry Gordy, and their, her daughter Rhonda is Berry Gordy's daughter. Yeah, I knew about that. Yeah, well, you know, Eartha Kitt came from that era where a lot of white men had children with black women and just kind of disappeared. You know, so when you see swirlers of that time, their fathers were never, you know, those white men weren't around for them. You know, those biracials were very much part of the black community because they couldn't be with the white community.
Right.
You know, it's different now, but back then, you know, biracial children were not accepted by the white community. So, you know, during that time when Eartha Kitt was growing up, she had no choice but to be part of the black community.
You ever seen that movie Imitation of Life?
Yes.
I said every person who has swirled or is biracial, quote unquote, needs to watch that.
Right. That's right. Etta James was another one that was biracial. And see, like I said, those white men, they were no father to them. It was a whole different time back then. Right. Dorothy Dandridge, another one that was biracial. Yeah. See, back in the day, they always married black. Believe it or not, biracials were marrying black, especially during the time of the baby boomer, because, you know, they had laws in place during Jim Crow. They couldn't marry white. But now biracials are married, you know, a lot of them marry white.
Yeah,
You know,
Etta James was a fairly light-skinned woman.
she was biracial.
Yeah.
She had a white father.
See, a lot of people didn't know that because they watched the movie Cadillac Records and they saw Beyonce playing her, so they probably assumed that she was black.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at pictures of the real Etta James, she was actually lighter than Beyonce.
Yeah, you know, they had all those pictures in black and white, so it was kind of hard to tell sometimes. But yeah, she was biracial. She had a white father.
Dorothy Dandridge was gorgeous.
She was. And she was another one that was biracial. But see, you got to understand, these mothers were raped. That was back in the time. See, these women grew up back in the time of Jim Crow. And a lot of those women that you saw that were biracial, their mothers were raped.
Now, you know, one person who was very talented but went through it, especially later on in her life and in her relationships, Josephine Baker.
Yes.
If y'all have never got an opportunity to watch the movie about her starring Lynn Whitfield, I think it came out in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure y'all watch that.
I watched
this woman, but she had a very complex lifestyle in her relationships, and I think it all stemmed from the fact that she wasn't able to bear children because she had developed some kind of an illness where she wasn't able to give birth.
Mm-hmm.
Which had to like tie her tube so she couldn't have children. So she started adopting all these kids. Like she adopted like 13 kids, and they were all different races. Like she was the original Angelina Jolie.
Yep.
And see, Josephine Baker had no other choice but to swirl because she pretty much made all of her living in Paris. And you know, it was none but white people over there. Because you know, she wasn't allowed to perform in the States.
Yeah.
At least doing what she was doing.
She was pretty much blackballed in the US. That's why she had to leave and go to Europe to even have a career. Yeah, you know, when you watch those movies, you realize how tough a lot of those black men and women during those times had it. Grace Jones, yeah, well.
But let's be real here. Grace Jones, when she was in Boomerang, Estrange.
I remember that.
Throwing around them panties. Throwing around them panties.
Yeah. Yeah, Josephine Baker did perform in front of Nazi troops. Yeah, she sure did. Nazi Germany. Yeah, well, see, the Black community knew what she went through. You know, that's why they were so accepting when Josephine came back home in the 70s. Yeah. I mean, she didn't leave because of the Black community. That was not the reason why she left.
Yeah, she did die soon after she had came back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul Robeson, he spent a lot of time in Russia. That's right.
See, a lot of Black entertainers back in the day, they couldn't make their living or their strides here in the place they were born in. So they had to go overseas where they were somewhat more accepted and then build a base over there. So the thing is with Josephine Baker, she left here. She went over to France, became famous, and she thought, oh, if I'm famous here, maybe they'll know me when I'm back home. That wasn't the case. She came back and they still didn't like her. And then she left and went right back to France. And then when she came back in the 70s, that's when people became more accepting of her, well, i.e. the Black community.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was from New Jersey. Paul Robeson, yes. No, Tina didn't turn into a swirler until after Ike. And
I got a question for you, Lisa. After watching the movie What's Love Got to Do With, do you think that a lot of that stuff was fabricated?
You know what? I would say yes, but Ike was in trouble for domestic violence with other wives too. It wasn't just Tina. But I don't know. I have misgivings to whether they should even put that movie out or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know?
Because I always heard like mixed stories whether or not, you know, he really did. I'm not saying that he didn't do any of that stuff, but I always wanted to know, like, did a lot of that stuff even happen? Now, one thing I did hear that actually did happen was when the scene when she left out of the hotel and ran across the street to the Ramada Inn across the street. They said that actually did happen.
Yeah, they did. In fact, I think they said they had confirmed it with the hotel that it did happen. Yeah, yeah, and Lawrence Fishburne's wife kind of screwed him over too, didn't she?
That scene with the cake will forever be a classic scene, though.
Mm-hmm. And Mayan cake. Wasn't she Anna Mae Bullock?
Yeah, that was her real name.
Anna Mae Bullock.
Mm-hmm. And then she adopted the name Tina Turner.
Yeah, Anna Mae.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne played that part though.
Yes,
like
he did. He played the hell out of that.
Like he made you hate him. Like he made you hate him. Yeah, he did. He slapped her friend, like one of the backup dancers, when they was in the diner eating the cake. He had threw the cake at her and everything, and he had slapped her, and then that's when she ended up leaving the group. Yeah, and of course, yeah, everyone remembers what happened in the limo. One thing I'll say about Angela Bassett is she knows how to play a mother.
Yes, she does.
I remember she played Katherine Jackson in that Jackson movie, which is another good movie, long movie, but another good one.
Mm-hmm.
She played, of course, she played Tina Turner. She played Rosa Parks. She's played Coretta Scott King. I remember she played. Remember that movie Akilah and the Bee?
Yes.
Which was like the first movie her and Lawrence Fishburne had done since What's Love Got to Do with It. That was a good movie. I like that movie. I remember she played. Oh yeah, remember she played. She played in Boys in the Hood with Lawrence Fishburne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Lawrence Fishburne he's an excellent actor.
Mm-hmm. Especially like back in the day when he was getting roles left and right. And I remember when he played Morpheus in The Matrix,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, they picked the right person to play Morpheus. Like, it's how he delivered his lines so smoothly and mysteriously. Like, you didn't know what he was getting ready to say next. He was like, Neo, if you take the red pill, so and so will happen. But if you take the blue pill.
And you remember he was in Spike Lee's movie, Wake Up!
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Yeah, that was School Days. Yeah, you remember.
Yeah, Princess Fiona. I did remember hearing that Will Smith had refused to play Neo. He had turned down the role. I don't know why
he did.
Because that movie went on to be a huge success. But they said he turned it down because he went on to do Wild Wild West, which ended up becoming a flop.
Yeah, right.
But it gave Keanu Reeves a career boost. But another one of my favorite movies from the 90s is Set It Off.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Because that was a different movie where, when you had bank heist movies, it was mostly from the male perspective and it was mostly white male perspective. But in this one, it came from a black female perspective, which was different. And I actually had read somewhere they said that they shot that movie in 3 weeks because it was a low budget movie.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who directed that movie was actually the same guy who directed the Friday movie. He also directed the last Fast and Furious movie, and he did Straight Outta Compton. So, Set It Off is definitely a classic, and it had a sad ending.
I remember.
I got mad when they killed Queen Latifah.
Oh yeah.
Like they shot her up.
Mm-hmm.
F. Gary Gray, thank you, King Stan. Yeah, Lean on Me is a classic as well. I loved Lean on Me. That movie came out the year I was born.
I caught a glimpse of life, y'all. Remember, you gonna eat that cornbread?
Oh yeah.
I saw the scene when Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence were in the restaurant, and he was like, "That's white pie." I actually saw that just a few days ago.
And what was so interesting about that movie is that they actually survived all of the inmates there and the people who was overseeing the prison. Like they outlived all of them, and it ended with them in the current day at a baseball game. Like that's when they knew they was actually free. Like they actually spent life for real in prison until they couldn't spend any time there anymore because nobody was there to run it.
Yeah, I saw Eddie Murphy's latest girlfriend, some old blonde hair Becky. I saw that. And I also remember him sitting on Oprah saying, "Oh no, I like black women." Yeah, right, Eddie.
Because wasn't he married to who was he married to?
He was married to Nicole. You know that model he married? Well, she was really biracial.
And then he ended up with one of the Spice Girls, right? The black one.
Yeah.
Not relationship wise, I think that was just like a hit and quit, but he ended up getting her pregnant.
Right.
Tracy Edmonds, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, that was Babyface's ex-wife.
I said out there, they all sleeping with each other.
Yeah, right.
They really are. They all sleeping with each other. Mel B, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Black Spice Girl.
Yeah, wasn't Shannon Sharp trying to get with his ex-wife?
I think so.
Or they just probably had one date. I don't know. I'd never kept up with it. Yeah, I only saw him with the white, and it really wasn't a good picture, but I could tell it was a white woman. The one that I saw Eddie Murphy with, but no, I'm not surprised. To be honest with you, I kind of like Charlie a little better anyway.
Oh, Charlie Murphy?
I loved him on Dave Chappelle, boy.
Oh.
You remember that one scene they did where they went back to slavery?
Oh, yeah.
That scene when Charlie looked and did a double take, that was hilarious.
Did Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy ever do a movie together?
They were in I don't think he just didn't have a speaking role, but yeah, he was in Harlem Night. He was, you just got to look in the background, but Charlie was there. He didn't really have a speaking role.
Oh, okay. Dallas Fort Worth said Jamie Foxx is with an ugly male chick. He's with Katie Holmes, who is Tom Cruise's ex.
Yeah.
Like I said, they all sleeping with each other.
Yeah, I saw Michael B. Jordan's woman. Someone didn't they get mad and said they weren't going to go see his movie because he was with a Becky, which I thought was dumb.
Well, clearly that didn't work because as you can see,
Yeah, and it's a shame because Charlie died of cancer. And just a few years before him, his wife had cancer. That's very odd how both of them died of cancer. But he was married to a sister. I saw his wife.
Right.
New Jack City. Woo, you really going back. See ya, I wouldn't want to be ya.
You know a couple actually ages very good that no one ever really talks about? Ice Cube and his wife. Especially,
I know.
Especially his wife. His wife looked like she hasn't aged since they've been together. I wonder if Sam Jackson got some kind of Guinness World Record for every time he said motherfucker in a movie. Because nobody says that word quite like Sam Jackson. I'm just being honest.
Sit your $5 ass down.
Make change. Nino Brown. No, the part when he was in the courtroom and he's like, Ms. Dawkins. Ms. Dawkins. I said he was just being an a-hole at that point.
Tell you what, that's one thing. Wesley Snipes played the hell out of that role.
He did. I hated Nino Brown, but I liked how he played that role.
Yeah, and that was just a made-up character, but he made it seem, he made it seem bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
Garcelle.
Oh, he's talking about Fancy from the Jane Fox show.
I remember. Was she got a new white guy? Because her first husband was white too.
Oh, I didn't know that she was married more than once.
Yeah, and she's from the islands. You know, I'm really surprised she's hooking up with all these white dudes.
Someone said they've been divorced. He said she caught the cracker cheating on her.
Yeah, was she gonna find the one she whipped cheating on her too? Because that's all the white guys do. They ain't even look. They run around on their white women. You know they gonna run around on these black women. Yeah, but you know what? What good did it do? She caught the first one cheating on her, and then what? She hooked up with a second one.
Mm.
Come on, she's looking. She's asking for a problem.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
I'm about to get up off of here. We've been on here for 3 hours.
All right.
But it was good having you on.
Yeah, it was.
It helped the time go by fast. It's hard to believe that I started this thing at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost 9:30.
Almost 9:30. Wow.
But I'm glad that I was able to have you on, and I'm glad that the people in the chat were able to contribute to the conversation as well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm probably going to the next time I do a live stream probably is going to be sometime next week, and it's a reason why I'm doing it next week.
Okay. All right. Hey, nevertheless, I'll be here.
Okay. Well, you have a good night.
Good night, and good night, everybody in the chat.